Okay, got it. Oh, come on. Something's wrong again.
Yeah, take your time.
Yep. Saying private. Okay, here we go. I think it's up. Um, I think we're live.
Okay, hope for the best. We'll hope for the best.
I'm not sure. All right. If we're live, this is, let's see. Um, come on, baby.
We'll take a swing at
It's
it.
it says we are live. All right. So I got this is Tim Rogers. You don't okay. Whoa, Michael's already on fire. This is Tim Rogers, the Dodgers 2080. We're live streaming. I have Ryan Falla here. He is going to kind of unload for a couple minutes on the whole what he his sees with Shohei Ohtani. He is an Angels fan, so he will have a different perspective than maybe some of us. But he's going to be out there letting you know what he has seen over the last few days, try to separate the truth from fiction. And I need to do a little extra setup on the internet machine for this to happen clearly. All right, go for it, Ryan.
Yeah, today has been a pretty underwhelming day with the start of the winter meeting, so there really hasn't been too much to talk about. So we've really seen a lot of people just kind of going over the whole Shohei Ohtani sweepstakes again. We're kind of hearing a lot of the same, but today it was interesting. We heard Buster Olney, he dropped that tweet where he said that there were some agents who wouldn't be surprised if he went back to the Angels, not only because of money, but because of comfort and the autonomy he has in his routine. And I really think that Shohei Ohtani's autonomy with his routine and the way he directs himself and how he's used and just like his pre games and his post games, he takes that very important. Like that's something that he really takes to heart. And you have organizations like the Dodgers and the Braves who have contrived their own winning formulas, and they're like very strong winning formulas. But when they bring players in from the outside, they have to kind of mold into the already preset formula. And Ohtani, when he first signed with the Angels, the whole reason he signed was because they would let him do what he want, essentially when he wanted to do it. And you've been hearing a lot of conversation lately, like it's been really interesting actually. Like you hear a lot of like GMs and agents and like talking heads will bring up like when Ohtani returns from Tommy John, would it be smart to move him into the closer role, have him pitch 3 times a week, but he'll pitch like about 100 less innings a year? And surely with long-term sustainability, especially with a contract that someone like Ohtani would get, you would think that, it's a smart move to make. You want to be able to stretch him out over the course of a 10 plus year contract. But Shohei Ohtani is not one that is really going to want to conform to other people's timelines for him. If he's in a meeting with someone and they're telling him, okay, so down the line in 4 or 5 years, he would like you to be a closer, play some outfield so we can have some DH at bats open up for other players. Like he's not going to take that as well as people would think. I know that he wants to go to a winner. He said that people want to see him with a winner, but overall he prioritizes being able to control his routine. And you can't guarantee that with a team like the Dodgers or the Braves or even the other finalists like the Blue Jays or Cubs. All these guys are going to have some kind of idea or vision for how they want to implement him. And Ohtani already has his vision for himself, and he doesn't really want anyone interfering with that. And we could go the other way and say that teams like the Dodgers could potentially just kind of cast themselves aside and be like, you know what, you could come in and do it the way you want to do it, and we're not really going to interfere with your routine. And that is, a viable theory. But Andrew Friedman, he's a very smart uh, president of baseball operations, very smart GM, perhaps maybe a little too smart for his own good. He knows that he has option B, option C on the table. And in this free agency market, like they're very viable players that you could go down to in the B's and the C's of your options list, and they would still make a great major league ball club, you know? So
Right.
you don't have a team like the Dodgers, I just feel like it's going to come down to a general manager presenting a bit of a desperation option, really going all out with money, going all out with years, going all out with incentives. And someone like Andrew Friedman, I don't think he would cast logic aside to kind of just emotionally really go out there and stretch the contract. He knows that if Ohtani doesn't work out, he could go and pivot to Yamamoto. He could pivot to Bellinger, Jung-Hoo Lee. Like, there's a ton of guys who could fill a lot of spots that the Dodgers need. And when it comes down to Ohtani, you just have to really wonder if he is going to want to be used the way the Dodgers want to use him. And if they do sign him, if he's really going to be able to cover as much as the Dodgers need covered coming out of this most previous postseason. They have a lot of holes that they need to cover. It's more than just a DH, you know? So that's going to be really interesting going forward.
Yeah. I see, you know, one of the things I've been thinking about with Ohtani is you talked about being autonomous, and that is a concern. I wonder how many teams win with players that, you know, a goal of theirs is to be autonomous, you know, and do just their own thing. It's a little concerning. You know, the Dodgers clubhouse, it's actually a very friendly place. And so, and I know we talked about that, you know, before, and, you know, it kind of has sat with me, and it's like, you know, I mean, I want that bat. I want that bat really bad.
Everybody does. Yeah.
I mean, it's one of the best bats in baseball, maybe the best bat. And you know, and of course the other threat that's there. But yeah, it's a little concerning that if that's his priority, that's kind of fine. But man, don't ever talk about wanting to be a winner again.
Yeah, you know, and I've seen a lot of people echoing that same sentiment. And I understand where it comes from. You know, a guy like Shohei Ohtani, especially with how he was in the WBC, like, you see how he reacts when they won. You're like, yeah, that guy wants to win. He wants to keep winning. He seems serious about it. And, you know, every player wants to win at the end of the day. But as human beings, like, we all have our little hangups, our own little things that, like, we are really emotionally attached to. And with someone like Shohei Ohtani, you know, I hate to say this. I really hate to say this. If Ohtani wasn't as great as he was, some people might say that he has, like, maybe some selfish qualities in terms of how he wants to, like, he's a team player. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
He's going to go out for his team. But
just
he
weird.
wants to do things his way. Yeah. And you just have to wonder if the Dodgers will really be able to stretch an offer that he will entertain in that way. And I do believe, I know this is going to sound far-fetched, but I do believe that there is a part of him that believes that the Angels can make plays to be competitive in the near future. It seems that he really does honestly believe that. And the Angels are a team, like, they're always willing to spend in free agency.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to do a quick shout out real quick. So Cody Snavely, you're supposed to be like setting up in about 3 minutes, but thank you for coming by. The Bleed Lows podcast starts at 7:10. So hopefully people will go there after this one, or at least come back later to follow. But shout out to Cody over there for coming on. I want to hit a couple of some of these chats, because people are fired up. So the title of this one was all about Mookie going to second base, and we'll definitely be talking about that, even though Shohei is still the biggest news. Michael Carrillo doesn't like the move. Nando 390, Mookie is an all-star outfielder. He's above average second base. I don't get this move. Michael says telegraphing Mookie is going to play second base is going to drive the asking price on up outfielders we need now. That's interesting. Michael Carrillo, Friedman is asleep. Michael Carrillo also, so Cards GM just said for sure they're trading Tyler O'Neill, which is good. I would like him on the Dodgers. Probably the Angels might want him too. Craig Osterberg says hi to Tim and Guess. That's Ryan Falla from he's our primary writer. You're our stud writer, man, on our site. Again, Cody says, hey Tim. Then Michael's, let's see. Nando says Ohtani one day decides he wants to play shortstop. Yeah, no kidding, huh? Mookie gets bored. Yeah, he's interested in the game's lives with playing in the infield, plus his body would take less of a beating. I can see that. What Craig also says, Ohtani should make up his mind. If he goes back to the Angels, he acts like a loser. Ooh, there you go. Oh, look at that. Austin Brubaker. Hey, Austin. Austin from Dodgers Daily. He's on their Dodger Dog thing. Good evening, Tim and Ryan. Right back at you, Austin. Hepatitis, see you later. Everyone's asleep till they trade Soto or Shohei sign. Doesn't it kind of seem like that, regretfully, that things are just all of a sudden slow? Now, yesterday, when our show was going, I had Trinidad on, and that Jared Kelenic trade broke while we were in the middle of it. So never know. So you got to keep checking the internet machine. Yeah. Eric Kwan says, I don't think any moves would be made until Yamamoto and Shohei signs. It could be a blocker. To be honest, I'm hoping, like, for the Dodgers, that Friedman would go. I still look at Ohtani in some ways as nice to have. What they have to have is two more pitchers. And
Yes,
I think
exactly.
that this chat would agree with that, because that's all we've talked about since the season ended is more pitching, more pitching, more pitching. I mean, right now their rotation is, Walker Buehler, then it goes Bobby Miller, Ryan Pepio, Emmett Sheehan, and Ryan Yarbrough. They need two, without, giving up any of the young guys. But, looking at Mookie moving to second. So when I tweeted something, you tweeted back about this is who the Dodgers need, which was Lee. What's the full name again?
Jung-Hoo Lee.
Jung-Hoo Lee. Yeah. I like him a lot. I mean, I think any team can use that guy because the contact rate is insane.
And on top of that, it's not very often you see a stud 25-year-old in free agency. You don't get to bid on 25-year-olds very often in free agency.
I know.
So that him and Yamamoto too, but it makes that even more alluring. So I really think that that's something that the Dodgers should look into, especially if the Padres are in on it.
Yeah.
It's one thing to get players for yourself, but to keep players away from rivals. I saw the Angels back in the early 2010s when they let Adrian Beltre go to Texas. That absolutely destroyed them. And it just shows the importance. Like, if you just let these guys go to your rivals, like, it's going to create problems for you in the future.
Yeah. William Andrews says, good evening, all. Thank you. Hepatitis, see you later. Outside of Yamamoto, the pitching options in free agency aren't world beaters. I agree with that. They can afford to wait. I just think if the top level free agent pitchers or the trade market, I mean, the Dodgers need a 1 or 2 type guy, and probably like a Giolito or Seth Lugo at the bottom. I guess Corbin Burns available, possibly. Dylan Cease, who I just don't consider to be a 1. Man.
Yeah, he has all the stuff, but he just didn't execute, especially last year. And recency bias is always in front, so people are just going to kind of feel like he isn't as good as he should be. But he has the tools to be number 1, and with the Dodgers, you don't have to really go into how deep they are with reforming pitchers.
Maybe the Dodgers should go, hey, look, White Sox, we know that Cease, his value is low. And so, well, we got a couple minor leaguers who had bad seasons. Let's just go low, 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 and low and make bets on that one. Bob Nightingale, of course, it must be the real Bob Nightingale, says, I'm so hungry I could eat Arby's. Hey, I love me some Arby's. I love me some Arby's, man.
It's funny. Speaking on the Dodgers, like, sending off prospects for Dylan Cease, it's just so interesting to see how Andrew Friedman, like, they have so many prospects, but he seems to kind of be like pearl clutching with them. And that's when it goes into, like, him being too smart for his own good, because he knows, like, he's not going to make emotional moves because he knows he can wait. He knows that he has. It's not exciting, but he has, like, prospects that are coming up. I've seen a lot of people talking about DeLuca to come in as, like, a full-timer or a platoon. And it's not the most exciting move, but it is a move that could move the needle for the team if he does perform up to expectations. But you have to, like, question sustainability with stuff like that.
Yeah, you bring up DeLuca, but the Dodgers did re-sign Jason Hayward the other day, and so he'll be the left-handed bat against righties. But with Mookie going to second base full-time, because what they did last year was against lefties, they'd move Mookie back to the outfield. But if Mookie's staying at second, that means DeLuca's got an opening.
Yeah, exactly.
And
And
then, yeah.
I feel like last year with how the Dodgers they rode into their season riding off of so many prospects in their starting lineup,
Hmm.
and it didn't totally work out the way that
Right.
anyone would have wanted to really. And I don't know if going into next season with the same exact game plan. It will work in the regular
Can't.
season, of course. We
Yeah.
saw it work in the regular season, but they need to put together a postseason team.
See, and that's where I completely agree. That's where, I've seen people, this channel, a lot of the chat has been, hey, we want Randy Arozarena. And then I get people that, well, during the regular season, Jason Hayward was actually better. Well, timeout. I don't care. What does Randy Arozarena do when the lights are on? What does Jason Hayward do? He bats 165. Randy Arozarena almost beats the Dodgers single-handedly in 2020. Was
Mm-hmm.
awesome with the WBC. He's a guy that's there. Let's see. I don't see why Shohei would join Toronto if he wants to win. Toronto's a good team. The AL East is tough, and Bo and Vlad are free agent. I can't see who that is. Bo and Vlad are free agents in 2 years. Both won't be resigned if they sign Shohei for $550 million. Yeah, I mean it's a lot of money for any team to take them on, and I don't know. I mean, I know the Jays are a good franchise, but can they keep Vlad Jr. and Bo Bichette and
I
Shohei?
well, the Blue Jays are one of the few teams where signing Shohei would actually move the needle in a pretty huge way because they were so close to like really breaking through last year, and there was just like something that really didn't carry them through. But to long term, talking about them keeping everyone, we've already seen Bo Bichette and Vladimir Guerrero Jr.'s names in trade rumors this
Yeah.
season. And I personally think that would be the smart thing to do because teams need to continue to get value out of these young kids even when they're going to leave. And you can't sign everyone a $300 million deal. So you're going to
Yeah.
have to recoup some value somewhere. So it wouldn't be the worst move if they signed Shohei and then moved another one, especially if you're moving someone like Vladimir Guerrero, because there's a
Right.
bit of a crossover with him and Shohei. Vladimir Guerrero, first base DH. I'm not going to say Shohei Ohtani, you can move him into first base, but there's some crossover there. So Vladimir Guerrero Jr. becomes a bit more expendable with Ohtani's presence.
Yeah.
And that could open them up to, potentially finding a way to keeping Bo Bichette. I know that's a bit far-fetched, but, money could come in from Ohtani and then anything can happen from there.
Yeah, I think if they look at what the Dodgers did, keeping your young shortstop's a good thing.
Yeah, right? Yes, exactly.
Yeah, tears,
But,
man.
mm-hmm,
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
so there's been a lot of chat I've actually missed. Outside of Yamamoto, the pitching options in free agency we got that one. And then just about, how the trade market and the free agency is so slow compared to like the NBA, and how it seems like MLB keeps falling behind other sports. I think that's a really good point. Um, yeah, they're talking about they should make a deadline for players to sign. Dragging this out gets old. In fact, back in the day, they had an interleague trade deadline that ended when the winter meetings ended.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
and you had, and in order to make to make an interleague trade after the winter meetings ended, you had to do the whole waiver thing. So teams were set.
Yeah.
There wasn't these, a bunch of February and December trades. Then they had one more trade deadline of June 15th, which was you could trade within your league
Mm-hmm.
without waivers. And then that was that. Then they still had, you could do waivers up to August 31st to get to get people on your playoff roster. So, that used to happen, and it was kind of consistent. It all kind of did happen at once. I mean, we were free agents started to sign in November, and they were all done usually before the winter meetings, and then it was all just trades. But then it just started to drag out. Now, I don't know. Let's see. Bob Nightingale says, I think Giants miss out on Ohtani due to the Dodgers, but pick up Soto when he's a free agent. Yeah, the Giants are desperate to give out some money. Man.
Yeah, they are. They are. And, good for them. I always think it's good for a team that's willing to,
Yeah.
like, open it up and just really spend. I'm sure as a Dodgers fan, that's probably a little, you don't want to see that. out of a team like the Giants. Because the Giants,
Yeah.
they could wake up and be a real franchise. They have been before.
Yep. And their manager's better now, and they got Bob Melvin.
Exactly.
So yeah, and Farhan over there, Farhan Zaidi, he knows his stuff. He just I just don't think he's used to having the big money. Because even when he was with the Dodgers, he acted like he was a little miser, trying to work on
Yeah.
the edges for everything, looking for everything was a nugget, a diamond in the rough versus
hmm
no, go get somebody. If he would do that at the deadline, they went and got Darvish at 1 year and they went and got Machado. But during the offseason, after their one big offseason, they kind of got a little, hey, we're just trying to always rip everyone off, try to get that diamond in the rough. Versus, when he was gone and finally after 2019 before the 2020 season, Freeman's like, oh, Mookie Betts, that's the guy. And they went and got him. And then they went and got, Bauer and Freeman, and they're going to get someone this year. Don't know who. I just hope, for the fans' sake that the biggest signing isn't like, Seth Lugo.
Or Blake Snell.
I'll take Blake Snell in his 5 innings of good ball, but he also had a really good defense behind him, and the Dodgers don't have the best of defenses behind them. We got Max Muncy at third base, who I think you could play third better than him right now. And we got Gavin Lux coming back from a destroyed knee. And then, but Mookie's above average at second, and Freddie's good at first. But Freddie's also getting older.
Yeah, he is, and it's super interesting that you bring that up with I don't know if I've ever really seen so many question marks on like a modern Dodgers roster. It seems like through the infield, like, well, I'm not sure if this guy's going to be able to be up to snuff. Gavin Lux is great, but after the injury that he's coming through and they want him to be shortstop full time, such an agile position. We'll see how that works out. Mookie at second, like, that just takes away so much from the right field, like what he was doing in the outfield, and it creates such a big hole. Like it's I don't want to say it's easy to find a decent second baseman to cover it, but you can't find someone in right field who could do what Mookie does like that. So that creates a massive hole for the Dodgers. I think it's a huge deal.
Yeah, at the same time, all of a sudden now Mookie is the best second baseman in baseball.
Oh, of course. But defensively, how much does that really go for?
Yeah, no, you lose a lot in right field, even though Hayward is a good outfielder and DeLuca is a good one too if he's out there. But Mookie's got the extra. His baseball IQ is off the charts.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he used to had to be strong up the middle. Yeah, I agree. Osterberg's bringing that up, and I think if Lux is healthy, I think they'll be hopefully strong. But Smith, Mookie, and Outman, that's pretty good defensively. Just if Lux is healthy, yeah. And if they need to, they could put Miguel Rojas there at the end of the games.
Yeah. Exactly.
Even though he's going to be like 35, but yeah, it's going to be. There's a lot of holes, and I think part of the reason there's holes is like in the starting rotation. I think in 2 years, it's very possible that Pepio and Emmett Sheehan are the 1 and 2 or 2 and 1 or whatever, but they're not there yet. And so you got to go, I got to get somebody to win, to help us win playoff games. I think Miller is going to be good. Buehler's questionable. He's coming off Tommy John. Sometimes it takes some guys like Verlander clicked right back in, and that's happened with some guys. But other guys, it's taken a while. I mean, Dustin May was he never recovered, and then he got hurt again. It's just just so many question marks.
And the thing is with the starting rotation is like you have to get younger. You can't just plug every hole you have with some veteran guy, because I've seen on the Angels side, like every time there's a hole, you just plug it with a veteran and hope for the best. The Dodgers do a better job of it than the Angels, most definitely. But you do not want to have just bring in Giolito and be okay with slotting him in the bottom of the rotation and just doing that for a whole season. That's why I think it's so important for the Dodgers to get Yamamoto. He's a 25-year-old.
Right.
Even if he doesn't have a perfect first season, like it's still something to build off of. you have a future to look forward to. But if you just keep plugging in like vendors on 1-2 year deals, like it's just the future starts to become a little hazy.
Yeah, it does, and it becomes this typical trend. It just everything is transitional. I think there's a lot for stability. I like what the Braves, to be honest, do with trying to keep their team together, even though it's kind of weird getting rid of their icon. Um,
Mhm.
but I think there's something to that. I mean, that used to be a Dodger tradition. You know, we had the same infield for 8 years. At the same time that was going on, we, had Reggie Smith in right field, a lot of that. We had Dusty Baker and left a lot. We had some Rick Monday out there. Steve Yeager caught a lot of that time. Let's see, Craig Osterberg. Could Lux play third with Muncy DH? He would need to spend a whole year getting used to that. They tried him there briefly in 2021. It wasn't even fair. It's like he had like 1 or 2 games at OKC and they bring him up and played him at third for like a game or two. It's like, that is just, don't do that.
Oh. Mhm.
And maybe they're trying to go, well, let's test to see um, if these guys have what it takes. But, some of these guys, you don't want to break them. I mean,
And it's
just
so tough
mentally.
too. Like throwing a kid in and like doing something that he's not totally used to doing at the major league level. Like you're already
Yeah,
taking him out of his comfort zone from the first game. It's not a good way to like start someone's career.
I
And
know.
Gavin Lux, it didn't hold him back, obviously, but you can't say the same for every prospect. If you just bring him up, throw him somewhere doesn't belong, and hope for the best.
Right.
That it's not a formula you could really hold to and expect continued success.
Craig Osterberg brings up a good point. The other Japanese lefty, the Imanaga, would be good. I
Yeah,
like him a lot.
I like
At
him a lot
least
too, but he's 30. He's 30
he's
years old, and
30. So, but I think he's kind of you get him for 5 years. 5 years at 20 million a year. I mean, it's a lot of money, but it's not my money. I'm
yeah,
at the
yeah.
I'm at the stage now with the Dodgers where after they lost the opportunity to go under the luxury tax last year when Bauer got reinstated, it's like it's over. They're not going to ever get under the luxury tax. It's
Mhm.
time. Just spend on what you need. Don't be stupid. Don't go like the Mets did and just spend a ton of money on everybody that the national sports goes, oh, that's a good player. Because the national sports, you know how they know a guy that's a good player? It's someone they heard of. That's all it
Yeah,
is.
exactly,
They're
exactly,
they're a bunch
exactly.
of idiots. They don't pay attention. But yeah, I'm probably gonna hear it back from that someday. But they do they on MLB Network. Oh yeah, they're really that's why every year the Mets or the Padres all that will win the offseason because they've heard of the guys. It's like, well, you're
Uh-huh.
not here. You're not playing it right. How does how does the player come in and fit with the team, right? How does the player meet a need and what's behind them and who are they blocking instead of them? Are they going to be able to make a trade and all? It was like the Potters last year with Bogarts. They didn't need to make that. That was the dumbest thing, but they're like,
Yeah,
oh my gosh,
I agree.
he's such a great player and blah, but he didn't fit.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
thought that was a questionable move, but the Dodgers. The thing about the Dodgers is like the prospect class that they have on the way up is such a good class. And
Mm-hmm.
it makes what they're doing right now so difficult because you don't want to sign guys too long term because
Yeah.
you'll have people coming up 2 or 3 years. But then
Mm-hmm.
that leaves like people on short term deals. They're not going to be like kind of moving the needle per se. So it's a really tough
Yeah.
spot. And I think that I know I've said it again, but the Dodgers need to get young. They need to sign guys like Yamamoto. And one thing that really sticks out to me is if these guys want to go to the Dodgers so bad, like I feel like you would hear more traction happening in the Dodgers' favor. Like if guys like Ohtani were guaranteed to be on the Dodgers, then why hasn't he signed already, or why hasn't there been more
Yeah.
rumblings? And I just think that that's something that people like really need to pay attention to. Like nothing is guaranteed. Like I know sometimes it feels like it might be, but
Right.
nothing is guaranteed. And if these guys wanted to be in a certain place so bad, they would have already signed there.
I know, but it seems like sometimes they're well, I want to set records that are can't be broken with their numbers.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I get that, but play where you want to play. I mean, he's gonna get 450 to 550 million. Play where you want to play. If it's the Angels, go play for the frickin' Angels. If it's the Giants, go play for the frickin' Giants. But for all that money, man, play where you want to play. That's the way I look at it. And if you want to be a Dodger and the numbers are semi close, then you should be a Dodger. It's just kind of it. You know, I mean, everyone's got their preference. I can't, you know, sit there, you know, like when Corey Seager left to go play for Texas, it's like, well, shoot, I get it. You know, LA might not be the place for a boy from North Carolina where, you know, I walked through Charlotte, man. I didn't see one homeless person. Dead serious. In downtown.
That sounds nice.
Yeah. Versus in LA or San Diego or San Francisco, it's like, geez, man, you got tent city. Let's see, Miller, Well, here's one. Miller, Pepio, Emmett, Stone, are young, and they are young, yes. And the Dodgers, I think, have to keep those first three because you can't go and make a trade for a 1 year or a 2 year guy and give up an Emmett Sheehan. You got to keep every pitcher that's ready to contribute in 2024. And Stone might be ready too, but you may have to give up Stone, but those first three you have to keep. And then, you know, going back to the new, you know, the young guys, you got Outman, of course. He's now their center fielder. But, you know, they tried to go with Vargas. Vargas had a rough year. And now he doesn't have a position because of Mookie.
Yeah, exactly.
And then Michael Busch has never had a position with them. Poor guy. And then we have DeLuca. And then the other one that's when he's kind of fallen off the radar, he's on the thumbnail, if the thumbnail ever showed up correctly, it's Andy Paez. He got hurt, in May or June? First like game at AAA and wrecked his shoulder. But he was a former Angel briefly. He was in that trade.
Like a day and a half.
Yeah, he was in that trade. But I'm glad that didn't go through. I didn't understand that one. I'm glad it didn't happen. But you know, he's a guy that maybe he gets a chance because he has those really high ceilings with his throwing arm and with his power. And you know, not like there's a ton of speed, but he might be able to play center field for a little bit in the majors. But you know, those are the guys. Like, we got to keep some of those guys. I don't think it's even fair to keep Michael Busch anymore.
Exactly. I was gonna say that earlier too. Like, there are guys who, like, you need to capitalize on their value while they have it. And
I know.
Speaking of Gavin Stone, like, I don't know if there's totally a place on the roster for Gavin Stone long term, with all the pitchers that are really starting to develop, like Pepio and Sheehan. And then you have to think if they go out and sign a Yamamoto, or even if they do get an Ohtani and someone else, well, like, that starting rotation is way too packed for Gavin Stone, and you can't justify having him pitch as a swingman. So you have to wonder, like, if it's almost like too obvious, if the writing is on the wall, you just have to do these moves now.
Yeah, I think because there's so many right-handed starters that are very close. You know, because you got those four, and then you've got behind them, you've got Landon Knack, who's 27. And then you got River Ryan, you've got Nick Frasso, and Kyle Hurt. And so you can't keep all of them. You got to trade. It's only fair. You have to trade some of these guys. Because
it's weird.
they're kind of like a toilet with, you know, they're just clogged up. They need to get a plunger out, because even behind that, then you've got Maddox coming up, Maddox Bruns, and you've got Jason Robleski. You've got that guy Christian Romero. Man, that dude was the steadiest guy there. And then Peter
Romero was good, yeah.
Peter Hubeck. Gosh darn it, Chris. Oh, come on, Tim. He started all year at Rancho. Chris.
At Rancho.
Chris. Gosh darn it. I keep wanting to call him Chris Lopez.
Black hole.
I know it sucks. And he's like a friend. I gotta look him up.
And then there's Peyton Martin too.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Unfortunately, he's a ways away just because of his age.
I do think that Jared Karros is a bit of a wild card.
Yep.
Jared Karros is definitely someone who could develop into an actual major league starting pitcher. And,
Chris Campos. Duh.
Oh yeah, Campos. Yeah. Campos is great. Compost is really good. His strikeout numbers are ridiculous. I was surprised when I saw it on the stat sheet.
And he's because he's a weirdo in that he was a former shortstop, and he went to the same college as Tony Gonsolin, who was also a shortstop there. Let's see. Oh, Austin Brubaker. I'm all in on Paez and DeLuca. Love the way they play the game. Yeah. Yeah. And on Austin. So Austin lives out in Michigan and he's able to see Great Lakes games.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
So,
I know who he is. He's great. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's seen, a lot of those guys, because we never got Andy Paez because of the stupid 19. And then we only had DeLuca for like a couple months. And it was when we were stuck in the stands covering the game. So it was like I never got to know him there and didn't see him that much. It was just like wasn't fun to go, dealing with the weird, seating situations and all that. But I mean, Paez and DeLuca, they can probably play any of the outfield positions. I mean, right now the Dodgers have a big gap in left field. And actually, I mean, if you look at it, they have 1.5 outfield positions filled. They got Outman, and then they got half of, Hayward is half of right field. And then, but now there's a half a position in right and a full position in left. I mean, I've seen, they're talking about having Busch and Michael Busch and Miguel Vargas learn left again, which they should have been doing the whole time. They talked about even Miggy Vargas learning third base again, which is like they do just spent a whole year getting better at second base. He was almost becoming decent at it and looked actually comfortable there. It's just it's rough to be a Dodger minor leaguer, man. You got to be super mentally strong.
It is because they really they're not rushed at all to like bring any of these kids up. So sometimes that works against the Dodgers since they're not rushed to bring these guys up. They leave them down too long. And it's so interesting to see how like the Dodgers all of a sudden are going cheap, and you don't see that out of the Dodgers. You don't see them saying, all right, well, we're just going to run with a half of our starting lineup coming out of AAA. We're going to go with a bunch of guys who they're not totally established at the major league level. Like you don't see that from the Dodgers, which I don't know if that should be like concerning or not, the fact that they're not spending money. And I know it's earlier in winter meetings, like tomorrow morning we could wake up and they sign Ohtani and Yamamoto. Yeah. But I think that there is something to be said about the fact that these conversations are happening where we're like, okay, well, we could have these minor leaguer guys playing third base. We could have them playing in the outfield. And we could have our starting rotation made up of unproven guys. And, Brian Yarbrough, I like him, but I think he would be better as a swing man than as a number 4 pitcher.
I agree. Yeah, I totally agree.
So and it
seems like the Dodgers got caught with their pants down with their minor leaguers. I mean, they had Michael Busch playing second base for years. They started him in 2019, drafted as a first base and playing him right at second base. They had Miggy play third base for a while, then they put him at second. And then last year they put Busch at third, but never put him in left. He played a few games in left the year before. So it's like, and I think also the losing Bellinger a year early was expected, just the way that kind of went down, where all of a sudden Bellinger became a pretty mediocre player and wasn't worth the money, and so they let him go. I think that also just kind of messed with their program. But there's Austin about Paez, love the attitude and swagger. Paez plays the game. He plays the game like he knows he's the best. Much needed attitude, that could play up in the playoffs. And also he hits
I love
bombs.
Paez.
Yeah,
he's a former Angel. I love him. What's there not to love about him?
Craig Osterberg, I'd put money on keeping the players healthy and eating the right food, stretching, etc. They do that, but it just seems like everyone's getting hurt all the time.
Okay, so that's interesting, bringing up keeping players healthy, because that was a point that I wanted to make, where I just have to wonder, like, you saw with last year with the Angels, they had arguably one of the worst IL epidemics out of all the teams in the majors. And I just have to wonder if having someone as a full-time DH blocking out DH at-bats for everyone else on the team, I just wonder if that contributes in some way. And, we won't really know for sure, but if Ohtani does end up going to another team, then we'll really be able to put our finger on, like, does not letting other people DH, especially when you have older guys in the outfield and stuff who need time off, like, it might be a contributing factor to some guys getting hurt early.
Well, and I think also, players like Freddie Freeman and Mookie Betts, they need to sit more, straight up.
Yeah.
And the older guy, they have to sit at least once every 2 weeks. No pinch hitting, no pregame, no nothing. Just almost stay at home.
Yeah, exactly.
Because Freddie, both our guys were dead in the playoffs, but Freddie the last couple of years has kind of died in September. Mookie died in September. Let's see, Austin also says pair Paya's power with reasonable K percent, and he really improved that this year. An above average ability to walk and a cannon in the outfield, special talent. Yeah. Craig Osterberg, this is so true. Dodgers think every player is Kike or Chris Taylor. That's the thing. Those guys are special. They have a special talent to be able to just go, where do you want me? Versus, some guys, it wrecks them for a while. I don't think it helped Miguel Vargas. Of course, also having big bruised thumb, but to go, hey, I'm learning how to hit major league pitching. Oh, and I'm learning how to play second base. And then Michael Busch gets brought up, and he's only got, maybe 40 games at third base in his career at third base in the minors. And all of a sudden he's playing in the majors and also learning how to hit at third base. They're not all, this is a really good point. They're not all Kike Hernandez or Chris Taylor. Or remember, the Dodgers used to have a guy named Daryl Thomas that used to do that, and they had Lee Lacy. There are those guys, but there's not a lot of them. They could just go play anywhere.
It's like, it's so important for major league teams to have like these super utility guys that can play like half of the infield, half the outfield. That's one thing I really like about the former Dodger Luis Rengifo is he can play everywhere. Third,
former Dodger great.
Second. Yes, he plays left field, he plays center field, he plays right field. He could play anywhere, and that's like such an important quality for teams to have, or guys who could just spell a day off for anybody at any given moment.
Yeah, it's really, and especially because the bench is 4 deep.
Yeah,
that's all you got. You got 4 guys, so you got to make use of that. And that's why I still want the Dodgers to get Kike Hernandez back, just to get that versatility. I think when they signed Jason Hayward back, it didn't help them, but I think Mookie wanted Jason Hayward back as much as Freddie did. Let's see. Oh, just a real quick. It's JP Hoornstra. He's covered the Angels and the Dodgers. He is actually joined. He's now an employee of Dodgers Nation. So after a year and 4 months, they finally replaced me. It took JP to replace me.
He must be a one hell of a guy then, huh?
I've only got to hang out with JP once at one game, and he was fascinating. I really liked him. I'd like to get him on the show.
That would be fun.
Yeah. Did you ever interview Jesus Galiz?
Yeah, I interviewed him multiple times. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna try to get him on the. I want to try to get an interview live with him, or not live, but to get him on here, because I didn't realize how young he was.
Yeah, right. That surprised me too.
He was 19. I remember. Well, the reason I picked it up because I read your article. Well, I edited the article, but reading the article, just go, oh my gosh! And then you look at it, it's like I think he maybe just turned 20. But I didn't. Yeah, he carries himself like he's 25.
Yeah, exactly. Like he is a professional. That's what I love about him. He's picked that up so young. And I remember when I was talking to him, he was saying like that was a thing early in the season that they worked on. Like his attitude wasn't really where he wanted it to be. And Shu
corrected him a couple times.
Shu helped him out with that, and it made him so much better as a player. Yeah. And I think that's gonna be great for him going forward. I really think Galiz is gonna be a sleeper prospect for the Dodgers, but that would be sweet to get him on.
I tell you, if I'm a team, I'm going after him. So I'm going to wait till after the winter meetings before I contact him, just in case he gets traded, because I'd want him for sure. Let's see. Aaron Vaughn. Hello, what up, everyone? Let's see. Yeah, Austin. Oh boy, yeah, you got it coming. The next class of catchers in Great Lakes next season. Fire, fire, and fire. Yeah, you got Lorenzo and Galise
Yes.
right there. You got
Oh my
Jorge gosh darn it, I want to say Posada. It's not Posada.
God.
Oh,
Could be
but
though.
they're
It
so
could be.
loaded.
Uh-huh.
I
I
mean,
really, I really think that the Dodgers should hold on to Galise and Lorenzo for dear life. That would be an amazing duo to come up.
I
Galise
know.
could spell time off for Lorenzo at catcher. Lorenzo could spend so much time in as a DH. And I know that Friedman knows that, and that's why he's like clutching on his prospects so hard.
Yeah. Well,
But
and
there are
if
times
you
he could just
look, so I was talking with, Trinidad last night, and we are talking a little bit about those guys. And you notice when Lorenzo would also play first base, Jesus did not play any position but catcher and DH. So I think overall, I think in the organization, Jesus is probably the best defensive catcher they've got.
Oh my God, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. He's a captain,
So
yeah.
yeah, but Lorenzo, I know some pitchers really like throwing to him too.
Yeah, and
Had
he had
some,
a good he was good at catching base runners too. He has a good arm. Like he's not a bad catcher. I know that some pundits
yeah.
who evaluate minor leaguers might say that he is not as good of a catcher as you might want, but Lorenzo is a better catcher than people will give him credit for.
You know what? Let's be honest. Those guys saw them one game.
Yeah, yeah, and they read the stat sheets and they're like, well, I
Yeah,
don't know about
it's
this
one
kid.
game.
Doesn't work
Let's
like that.
see. Let's see. Hepatitis C later. Eduardo Quintero in the Dominican Summer League is fired. Yep. Okay, so Shohei Ohtani followed Logan Webb on Instagram today. How worried should we be? Oh, none, because the reason that Shohei Ohtani followed Logan Webb on Instagram is because no one has a more punchable face than Logan Webb, and so he's just kind of getting ready for when he's with the Dodgers to know who he's going to hit. That's it.
He needs that inspiration going in. I totally see it. I totally see the vision.
Logan Webb, I got to give that guy credit. I didn't think he would last as long. He's a really good pitcher, and but he does have the face that a lot of people consider to be punchable. But he would
Yeah,
kick the crap out of me. So
yeah. Angel fans have a thing against Logan Webb too, because he was like semi hating on Ohtani for a little bit during the season. Not so much hating on him, but kind of. There was a point where Logan Webb wasn't winning like Pitcher of the Month awards, and Ohtani was, and Logan Webb was making comments on social media.
Logan Webb, it's funny. He is a competitor, and he's also, gosh, was it? I think it was Kevin Klein of the Incline did some stuff, was going into his DMs, and Webb basically picking a fight with him. So Klein actually went up to a Giants game, I believe, and actually met him, and they took a friendly picture together and all that. I think it was Kevin. I'm not positive, but someone that with some significance on Dodger Twitter did that. And Logan's funny. I think Logan's super competitive, but he makes the mistake that a lot of these guys make. Get off the internet machine.
Yeah,
get off social media.
It's so easy to get fired up and emotional and to kind of just like forget
and
to kind of let loose. We've all done it before, but it's definitely something that like, major league athletes, you see some guys that like struggle with social media and they're just like getting in fights and picking fights. But that doesn't mean that that's who they are in person. It's just,
right.
We know
they all have burner accounts. I don't know which one's Andrew Friedman's. I know there's one called Andrew Friedman's burner, but I think that's mine. I got about 100 different accounts out there. But
I used to have a burner too, but I had to stop using it because I would just like get so frustrated and start picking so many fights. And I was like, having it sometimes use it as an excuse to go out and like just like be upset at people.
And we do know Andrew's got one because he says he reads our stuff and follows our stuff. So he's got to have some type of account out there. Which is fine. You know what?
It makes me feel like it's whoever his burner account is whoever I fight with the most in the comments on my articles.
Well, and these guys they do, the Dodgers, they watch what's out there. But it's not going to stop me or stop us from saying how we feel. What are they going to do? Fire me?
Yeah, right. Oh yeah.
That's the best part about this is, you and I, we don't get paid doing this. We can say what we want, and what are they going to do? We
Yeah,
just,
we can
as
pick
long as
wild
we're
cards.
honest, we're never cruel, other than to
Yeah.
Logan Webb. And even with Logan Webb, sorry, Logan, I'm sure you're a fine guy, but you know, you definitely, I think the thing about Logan Webb, he is a good villain.
Yeah, he definitely makes it easy to see him as one.
Yeah,
And
like
but but it's necessary.
Bumgarner was the perfect villain. So Logan Webb might be that good villain. Aaron Vaughn has outed himself. He says, "I am Friedman's burner account." Watching
Well, it's nice to
everything you
meet you.
guys
Good to see
say.
you there.
That's right. Andrew Friedman, the man, the myth. Hopefully more man than myth.
It makes me feel more comfortable that I'm never negative about the players. So I know if
Yeah.
anyone in the brass is looking, they know that I have a good head on my shoulders when it comes to evaluations. But sometimes with some of these fans, and it's usually more the Angel side, because you get people who are way more like pokey and proddy at Angel fans.
Yeah.
So sometimes I'll get a little bit on them, but
You know the only
on the
time you got in trouble. You know the only time you got in trouble in 2023, right?
when
Think about Sean McClain.
what happened?
Your hat.
Oh my God, yeah, that's right. I remember that. I remember that because I had the misfortune of wearing a 66ers hat to a Quakes game.
Sean talked to me about that. Hey, he goes, "You got to catch your boy, man."
Yeah, he told me too when I showed up with a Rams hat the next game. I was like, "Is this okay? Is this a little bit better?" I totally forgot
Sean's
about
such a
that.
cool. I
Yeah,
love Sean, man. I hope he's healthy. Let's
he's
see.
great. He's great.
Yeah, I always wanted to see Puig beat Madison's tail. Yeah, that we all wanted to see that. That would have been a good one because Madison Snot Rocket was a he's country strong.
Oh
That
yeah, oh yeah.
he's a strong dude, and Puig's just Bo Jackson. Let's
Mm-hmm.
see. Aaron Vaughn writes, Ryan, are you a fan of both the Angels and Dodgers? Eh.
I'm a fan of the Angels and the Rancho Cucamonga Quakes. If we'll see what happens in a couple of years if the Dodgers keep all those guys, it might be a different conversation. But as of now, I appreciate the Dodgers very much so. But I'm
Yeah,
an Angels
we
fan,
have him
die
on
hard.
staff because Ryan is extreme. First of all, he's a great writer. Second of all, he really gets in with the players and isn't afraid to get his your little recorder and ask him questions and stuff like that. So you get really good insight from them, and like we both do. We adore those guys, and we
Yeah,
want the
absolutely.
best for them. And yeah, I think and it's also just good to have, a different perspective, and we're not hiding anything. We're not
Mm-hmm.
going, oh, Ryan, he's gonna wear a Dodger hat. No, we're perfectly honest about it. But it's, you've provided some of the best perspective that we've had, when we've talked about Shohei, because you're talking about it from a way different perspective, but also you've been inside that view a bit more than we have,
Mm-hmm.
and know more about all that stuff. But yeah, it's good to go, to have somebody that's a little distance, versus some of us who we're still smarting from getting, punched in the face by the D-bags and the year before by the Padres.
Yeah, and that's one reason why I really I still expect the Dodgers to really go out in free agency and just sign, just because I'm sure they're still stinging from what they've been going through the last few playoff series. I would hope
Yeah,
that they would go out and really spend money because I just don't I like the Dodgers prospects. Like I love the kids that they have, but we're talking about like a 162 game major league season and a
yeah,
postseason. So even if you run off the prospects, you still need to have like more guaranteed star power that will perform. And I
right.
do think that Ohtani would be a great fit for the Dodgers because he would just work as a DH, gives the kids their space to do what they need to do. You're not going to rely so much on them from offensive production. But if the Dodgers kind of stand pat, you're going to look towards guys like DeLuca more so to bring a punch to the table. And it would be better if you didn't have those expectations on the kids going into the season.
Yeah, I want them to, a lot of times the way the Dodgers brought up players, really starting with Jock Peterson. Now, Jock, they traded Matthew Ryan Kemp to get Grandal, and that
Mm-hmm.
opened up center field. So they basically gave center field to Jock. Okay. But then the next year, they basically gave shortstop to Corey Seager. But after that, Cody Bellinger wasn't supposed to come up in 2017. But they ran out of players so fast that Bellinger got brought up, and he earned it. He earned the right to stay.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, 2018 was, Max Muncy, even though he wasn't a rookie, because he'd been with the A's off and on for a couple of years, but he earned it, earned the right to stay. 2019, Austin Barnes was so bad, they finally just said, well, we got to do something about this guy. So they brought up Will Smith, allegedly, and he hasn't left. And then let's see, Matt Beatty also earned some time in that year. Also, Alex Verdugo earned some time. So they had guys just kind of earn their way through it versus just, blessing. Like Outman actually earned it. He was allegedly not scheduled to be their center fielder, but he earned it.
No, he did, 100%.
Yeah. Let's see. Aaron Vaughn says I got love for all fans except Red Sox fans. He says F all of Boston. Well, I don't care about the Red Sox fan, but especially the Celtics. Man, the Celtics and the Astros are my two least favorite organizations of all time. I'll never get over the 1984 loss to the Celtics by the Lakers. There was just so much crap going on with that one, and then of course 2017 with the Astros. Let's see. Tim, is DeLuca really that good? I know his time up was short, but I wasn't really impressed. He's a really good athlete, and I think he's one of those guys that we will need to see more of every day. But you'll go, oh, well, he's pretty strong. He hits the ball pretty hard. Oh, he's pretty fast too. He's quiet, and he's not one to toot his own horn. But I think if he gets a chance, he might be interesting. He's not one of those really highly rated prospects, but I think he can have a nice long major league career. And if he keeps improving, maybe he becomes a regular, becomes a guy that does 20 stolen bases, 20 home runs, plays good defense. He was a track star. But then got strong. In fact, he used to even be a switch hitter. He was like a punch and Judy guy, and then became more of a power hitter from the right side. And yeah, Bellinger was amazing. Absolutely. Let's see. I think Ohtani is really picking between Angels and Dodgers. That's one of the reports I heard today too from Nando. Let's see. Austin, really love different fandoms, helping to bring different perspectives to the Dodgers coverage, helps bring fair and balanced perspectives. Yep. Keep up the great work. Go Tigers. There
there we go.
But, and that's true because I'm not fair and balanced. I will, there's times I will be, but, I'm not advertising, fair and balanced. I'm definitely pushing, but at the same time, I can stand back. But, you give me a microphone, and the night the Dodgers lose to the Diamondbacks to get eliminated, it's all passion. Let's see. Sean says DeLuca is probably a fourth outfield platoon type, but there's still value in that. There is. And plus, he can pinch run, pinch hit, play some good defense. So I'm wondering if Hayward can duplicate what he did last year. I'm fine with his contract. I just don't think he can. And I hate giving up 400 at-bats. They could have gone to Michael Busch.
I think starting off DeLuca at a platoon is a great way to start the season, especially with Hayward, because you can't guarantee if he's going to perform how he did last year. So it opens up a path for DeLuca to earn more at bats, earn a starting job. So I do like that, but there's still one hole in the outfield outside of that needs to be solved. Yeah,
and I don't think the Dodgers are going to go with too much youngness. I think and it's almost too much. Let's see. Craig says, I think you're right. They should have deadlines. Yeah, if you have deadlines, something happens. Yeah, and it's how good is it for the game to say, here's the winter meetings and nothing happens? That's a disaster.
Yeah, I agree.
You got
definitely be enforcement.
You got all your networks there. Everyone's there. It would be even better if it was down in San Diego again, because I'd be there right now.
But I'm sure you would.
Let's see. Hepatitis C later says Hope Kershaw isn't back. Franchise won't evolve till he's gone. I understand that. Let's see. Other people, Aaron's also out on him, and yeah, Dando. People are out on Kershaw. I think it's my big thing with Kershaw. I hate seeing him go out the way he did, but the same love they give Kershaw, they gave him some extra. They gave him favors, right? They have same things happening with Freeman and Betts, and the same thing will happen with Ohtani. So Ohtani will get to pick what player the Dodgers go out and signed, just like they did with Kep Barnes, Hayward last year, JD Martinez, who was very productive. Anywhere on how Mitchell White and Andre Jackson have been doing since they've been traded. Mitch ended up struggling at the end of the year. It started well. Andre with the Pirates was at least getting some play. It was good for them to move on. I think they were blocked from getting a real chance to start, but I think Mitch White right now is just a reliever.
I'm pretty sure he is too.
Yeah, I just know that we got Nick Frasso, so I'm pretty happy with that trade.
Yeah, exactly.
They didn't get anything for Andre Jackson. I hate that. I hate the fact that you go and if you really believe in the guy, then give him a chance. White may have gotten DFA'd. I think he did. If you're not going to give the guy a chance, then trade him. But you can't sit there and go, okay, I'm going to use Miguel Vargas as kind of the other example. So they gave Miguel a chance. Didn't work out yet. Now, I say yet for a good reason, I think. But his value's down. If you trade Vargas now, what's the point? You might as well hold on to him and give him another year or two because there's still time to do that. And if it doesn't work out, then you trade him for cash. But if it works out, which I think it will.
Here's the thing about that is that, right now it's easy to say, well, his value's down. You can't trade him. You have to give him another year. But the Angels did the same exact thing with Joe Adell. Whereas his value took a little bit of a hit. Oh, well, we can't trade him. We have to let him play out a year, recoup his value, play another year, value's down even more. Give him another year, value's down even more. So you just have to wonder if, I know his value is down now.
Yeah.
And of course, there's always a chance that he becomes who he's supposed to be. But you really have to consider if you want to risk his value going any lower and you just not being able to get anything for him.
Yeah. I mean, but if it's so low now, if you get rid of him, then you're not going to get much anyway. I would like Adele. I would just go, well, I'm going all the way, all the way until we release him.
It seems like the Angels are doing the same thing with Odell. At this point, you just have to let him start, and if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
Yeah. Let's see. This guy Aaron says, I think Grove is going to be the next White and Andre Jackson, i.e., get traded. That's possible. They have so many righties. And I keep forgetting about Michael. I really, really wish I wouldn't do that, but I think Michael Grove might be really being targeted for the bullpen now. That's kind of what I'm seeing.
As a reliever or a swingman?
That's a good question.
That's interesting because I'm going to be honest, I totally forgot about his presence because there's just so many young kids that are coming up to pitch. Just so many of these prospects are kind of getting lost in all the noise, and it's starting to work against the Dodgers' favor.
Well, and Michael got brought up so fast in 2022. They had because he skipped AAA that year. Well, at least he went from AA to the majors, then went back to AAA later. But he it was a surprise that he got brought up that quick, especially going from AA. But he had made so much improvement, from the end of 2021. 2019, he was all awful. He would admit it at Rancho, coming off Tommy John, limited to 50 pitches. And he, 2020 was the whatever. And then, 2021, it was Great Lakes, I guess, and he wasn't that good. He got to AA by the end of the year, and all of a sudden, in September, he found it, and he continued that. So he definitely took a leap. I I just don't know what they're going to do. I think Grove should be a reliever full time and not as a swing. Yeah. The thing about Grove is he definitely picks up a lot of extra velocity when he's in the bullpen. It's a different. He might be a difference maker.
Yeah, when he's just able to just go and throw bullets instead of trying to stretch it out over a start.
So this is a good question from Mr. John Rod 17. At what point do you just say we tried on Ohtani and move on? I worry that we will handcuff ourselves for years, kind of like the Angels did with Pujols and Trout. It's legit. That's a legit question.
It is. That goes back to that point I was making where like if you sign Ohtani, like as Andrew Friedman, you have to lay out a plan and be like, well, we can't have you starting for all 12 years of the contract, and then you start trying to figure things out. So it doesn't hamstring you, but then that works against your negotiation power with Ohtani because he doesn't want to do that. So, right. And it's funny he brings that up because I think that we might hit a point soon where some of these guys that are in on Ohtani, like the Cubs or the Blue Jays, will kind of start to they'll start to get a little gun shy and they'll start to think like, well, if we don't get him, there might be a chance these other guys go off the board before we could figure that out. So maybe we should just go get these other guys instead. So it's really about like who's going to fire the first shot and get someone that's not named Ohtani or Yamamoto. And I don't think Ohtani signing will be the domino effect. It's whoever goes and just grabs someone because they don't want to wait anymore.
I think it's all. I look at it kind of and just kind of thinking about in a car with cars, right? You go to a car lot. And really, you shouldn't even be there, but you went anyway, just because you wanted to go look. And you go, hey, I'm gonna go look at that that Audi R8. I really, if I really do get a car, I really should be getting a Civic or an Accord or something like that. But boy, that R8, then you fall in love with it.
Got to get that Scat Pack.
But you know what though? If you wait long enough, you'll wake up. And so if enough teams wake up and go, do I really want to do this? Is this what I really want to do with one player? And he might start losing maybe a little bit of options. I think you have to go. It's kind of, I don't know, man. It's kind of like striking hot with a man and a woman, It's like, well, now's the time. It's either now or never. Either get married or go home. I mean,
it's true. It's true. Like these GMs have to, especially after how this first day of winter meetings went, like someone's got to make a decision and realize like you're not building your team off Ohtani. You have to make a move before someone takes a Yamamoto. You can't wait to see if Ohtani signs, wait and sign Yamamoto because he might be gone before Ohtani signs, and all of a sudden, like you really are lost at options now.
Yeah, I honestly do think though that out of all the teams, that the Dodgers are the only ones that are not blocked by waiting for him. I honestly think that. I think everyone else is going, it's either Ohtani or something else. The Dodgers is going to go, if we get Ohtani, great, we will adapt. If we don't get Ohtani, we will adapt.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I was saying, like the Dodgers, like Friedman's not making emotional decisions.
Let's see. Nando 390. Austin Barnes needs to go. He was batting zeros for months on end. He sure was. Yeah, Hunter Fiducia deserved a chance. Hepatitis C later. Grove is low key nasty. Yeah, he's such a nice, quiet guy. He's one of the nicest guys out there too. Aaron Vaughn, it boggles my mind that there are 10, 11, 12-year contracts. No kidding. Just ask the Padres. Hepatitis C later, by the time Shohei is a shell of himself, the Dodgers would have had at least one or two chips, which makes the down years acceptable. See, I agree with that. If you're going to get another parade, I don't care. First of all, it's not my money. I'm 59, man. I've never been to a World Series parade. I got robbed in 2017 and then in 2020.
And 2020.
Think
about that is like you can't guarantee you'll win a World Series within that time span.
I know.
The Angels felt the same way when they signed Albert Pujols to a 10-year deal. Like, we get one or two chips out of this, it'll be fine. They went to the playoffs once and got swept in that whole contract. So you can't just sign someone to a 12-year deal and just assume you're going to win a World Series in that time.
Right. Well, you can never assume that. That's for sure. Let's see. Maybe they'll get Ohtani cheap if teams keep falling out, kind of like Freddie Freeman. That did happen.
What does cheap mean in this context?
I know.
Cheap, like,
well, less than 550.
Yeah. We'll see if that happens.
Let's see. In order to get these franchise-altering players, you have to give the years and just deal with it. If you get a chip, it was worth it. Yeah, I mean Tim, we're blocked right now by Ohtani. I don't think we are. I don't think we're blocked by Ohtani. I think that maybe other teams are blocked, which might maybe cause us to be blocked. But I don't think the Dodgers are waiting for him. They need pitching. That has nothing to do with Ohtani. They got the money. Even if you factor in arbitration, they're like well over 80 million before they hit the luxury tax, and they shouldn't be worrying that. I feel like Austin Barnes' career is at a crossroads. I always feel that his existence was based on Kershaw. That's true the last couple of years, definitely wanting him as his primary catcher. I also think he's a future Dodger manager. If Friedman doesn't sign anybody or trade anybody, these meetings is going to be storm. I agree. So, and for the first time, as a Dodger GM, Andrew Friedman is really under the spotlight because it didn't work out last offseason after they lose to the Padres. Then this year, and then the one guy he let go was the dominant force in the World Series.
Yeah.
So
it's interesting. And I feel like all the good faith that got built up from like the Mookie Betts trade and extension is gone. So Andrew Friedman needs to go out and he needs to build up more good faith with another, Ohtani, Yamamoto type signing. So it's very important that something like that happens.
I remember Dodgers Nation did a poll asking if Dave Roberts was at fault, like for the early exit, and it was like 71% said he wasn't at fault. So that means that Doc is off the fans' hot seat for right now. I mean, he'll be right back on it once after a couple games, but let's see.
It definitely is Friedman, yeah.
What else left the Angels was Josh Hamilton. Yeah, that's for sure. The guy was just back on drugs and he was a mess.
Unfortunate.
That was a mess.
They let Torrey Hunter go so they could bring him back, which was the worst part of all that. They told Torrey Hunter they had no money to sign him, and then they go and sign Josh Hamilton. So more money than Torrey Hunter would have needed. So it's like, gross.
The bummer. Let's see. If we already know we still need pitching, yes. Why not pull the string on trades now? Yes. When other teams really do have to see where their money is going. Our advantage is that we have the financial resources. Exactly. That's the difference the Dodgers have between all these other teams in the running for Ohtani for sure. And I guess the New York teams are in on Yamamoto, and I know the Yankees are trying to get Juan Soto, so their focus isn't Ohtani. But you never know. I mean, if this was a different Steinbrenner, the Yankees would be right in this mix, man. Old George would be right there. Let's see. Agreed. Dodgers should make trades now. Yep, they have the leverage and the money, and sign free agents. Go get those guys. Dodgers need to be the shot callers, not wait around. Yes, one of the things I've been talking about, just in general, about different things, whether it's people in the media, people in sports, people at work. If you're the big cheese, act like it.
Yeah, exactly.
Act like you're the alpha. Don't sit there and stay back.
That's the thing that makes me wonder how viable Ohtani signing is with the Dodgers, because Ohtani in his world, he is the shot caller. Ohtani calls the shots in Ohtani's world. So
understood.
We want the Dodgers to be shot callers. So we'll see if that relationship really, if anything, comes from.
Well, but they can call the shots on everything else. That's the thing. They can go out and be the big boys right now. They could, if they wanted, they could go and get Yamamoto right now. Probably. Let's see. The reason why we aren't seeing Dodgers trading for pitching right now is because teams are waiting to see who misses on Ohtani to squeeze a desperate team. That's true. everyone's waiting. Yeah, there's something to that, but it doesn't stop the free agents. Go get,
I feel like I was going to say, I feel like Ohtani would be more apt to sign with a team like the Dodgers if he sees them like, oh, they trade for Dylan Cease.
I know.
They start really seeing guys. And that's really how he's geared. Like he loves seeing people make shows of good faith and shows of loyalty.
Yeah, which, the Angels tried to do that. Obviously we talked about that. It didn't work. But they at least, and maybe that got him a couple percentage chances of coming back, just that goodwill.
Yeah, definitely. Like he definitely respects loyalty that is given to him. So
Yeah.
even if the move doesn't work out, the fact that you're trying is going to be a plus in his book. Even if it is a
Sure.
little bit of a disaster, like how it was for the Angels.
Yeah.
But they were in a position to try, and they
Hmm.
tried, and that's what he wants to see.
Yeah. And to be honest, other players see that and they go, "Oh, the Angels were at least willing to try." Now the way they released those guys basically was kind of,
It was a bit silly, I guess we could say.
yeah, it didn't look good. They did get under the salary cap though, or the
Yes,
luxury
which makes it
tax.
even funnier. That's crazy
Yeah,
that they actually got under the luxury tax.
so
I love that.
that matters. That matters.
It
Um,
does.
and so yeah, let's see. The asking price is too high. I'm on board for going all in, but just not selling the farm for Boris Client, who is overrated as you know what. Yeah, no, I hear you, and that's there's a lot there, but I'm hoping that the Dodgers, at least when Farhan was there, they would kind of get a lot of things lined up. And they'd have like 4 things ready to go. One thing happens, they all happen. That's how when they did the whole Matt Kemp trade, when they got Alex Wood in 2015, they just had these things all lining up. Let's see. Okay, this is okay. Mookie moving to second base. Friedman smells blood for another bat. Yeah, let's hope it's Randy Arozarena or better. I just want an October bat. I just, that's why I'm in. I'd still take Jock Peterson. Just he's there for October. Kiki's there for October. Rosarena's there for October. For pitching wise, Blake Snell has a pretty darn good October record.
He does. I was talking to my brother about that earlier today. If you take Blake Snell's 2 amazing, fantastic seasons off of his stat sheet, he has the most pedestrian-looking stat sheet that you can imagine.
I know, and that's the concern, man.
Exactly, it is. It's like, well, do you want to risk having Blake Snell end up slotting in as a 4th starter, 3rd starter statistically?
I just, if you could get him to actually go to sleep and not play video games all night with Mookie, man, you got a player that's ready to go. Mookie plays some video games all night too. It's like, you guys need to get some sleep. Mookie knows better too. Blake Snell, man, he just like that. He's just like that. Do we smell a trade for a big bat coming soon? I hope so. We need some movement. I wouldn't mind if they could have pulled off that Jared Kelenic trade, man. I would have definitely liked that.
That would have been interesting.
I would have liked that, but man, the Mariners, they've got to be trying to, they cleared off over 30 million. That sounds to me like they're trying to get Juan Soto. I mean, that's about his arbitration number.
Or Cody Bellinger. Something.
Yeah, I don't know if they go Cody. That's interesting. I didn't think about that.
Give me one quick second. I have to grab my charger.
Yeah, it's okay. I'll answer some chats here. So yeah, Ryan's he's got to get some more power. Sean Ohtani can probably get more dollars or years from Frisco, but he'll basically probably miss the playoffs. True. Basically the same career as Mike Trout is having. Yeah, true. It's what does he want? Yes, Randy and Glasnow for Busch, Cartaya, River Ryan, Knack, DeLuca. That might do it. It's a lot from our side, but 3 years of Randy, I'll take it. And it would give those guys a chance. Knack especially, he's 27 years old. They got to break some of these guys free. I hate giving up Cartaya. It's selling low, but we got to win some ball games next year in October. I think Glasnow with the Dodgers, if the Dodgers would just go to that stinking 6-man rotation, someone like Glasnow would be such a good fit because they're trying to deal with Buehler. Let's see. Aaron Vaughn says done. Yeah. Or Andrew Friedman's burner says it's done. Let's go do it. Someone said Randy Arozarena and Glasnow for Busch, Cartaya, River Ryan, Landon Knack, and Johnny DeLuca. It's like kind of
do it. Get it done.
Yeah, I think you have to. It frees up a lot of guys.
It does. Like, you can't just keep hoarding prospects. It's funny
Yeah.
that Andrew Friedman does that. That's like when I play MLB The Show, that's what I do. Is I just hoard prospects until they turn 28, 29, and then just trade them because there's no room for them. You can't really do that in real life.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah. Hepatitis C later says, and this is correct, 3 years on the cheap for Randy is going to cost a lot. Very true.
It is,
Very
yeah.
true. He would
Honestly,
he brings Puig energy, but he doesn't bring Puig idiocy.
uh-huh. And the Dodgers have so much to trade, like at the top end of their prospect class. Like, you might as well do it because there's so much that's coming up from the bottom middle end. Like, you can take a hit at the top and not really suffer for it in any way, shape, or form.
Right. Soto is still young. Bellinger, I wouldn't trust. Yeah, the problem with Soto is he keeps getting bigger and bigger in a bad way. And I was talking to a guy at work, and we were talking about Soto, and he thinks that Soto's is older than his birth certificate says.
I think the same exact thing too, and I was about to bring that up. I really believe that. And we've heard it before with other players in the past, but I would not be surprised if Juan Soto was maybe a little closer to 28, 27, 28. Would you trade for Juan Soto? Would you like that?
I love Juan Soto as a hitter. I don't like him as a fielder. So he's a 24-year-old or 25-year-old DH. But the way he's going, man. Let's see. Aaron Vaughn says, yes, I am Andrew Friedman's burner. I will send the trade proposal to Tampa right now. When someone asks me how I came up, I'll say hepatitis C. There you go.
Let's make it happen.
Crazy as it sounds, Randy probably going to cost more than Soto. I don't know about that because Soto's regular season numbers are he's OPSing like 950, and Rosarena is around 800. But
and on top of that, we're seeing what the Padres are asking for Soto, and they're asking for like 6 to 7 prospects. And that is ridiculous.
They're acting like he has 2.5 years of control. It's a year. Yeah. They're not going to get the same. They think they're going to get the same package back, and they're not.
Yeah, they want to recoup what they sent for him. Like, that's their logic, and it's like that's not going to happen with the year on the deal. So Randy Rosarena would definitely get less, but it would still take a lot.
As a Dodger fan, I honestly do hope the Padres hold on to Soto, because then he leaves and they get a draft pick.
Oh, okay.
That's the way I see it.
So you're playing 4D chess then. All right, I like it.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
Because then it's another year of that knucklehead clubhouse with Tatis, Machado, and Soto. That's a bad mix.
And I was gonna say, if they do trade him, that's gonna free up a lot of money to make moves now that will make the team better now.
Their pitching's gone.
Yeah, and that's why they're trying to reload just off of Soto. What they're asking for from the Yankees. It's crazy. It's honestly crazy what they're asking for.
Aaron Vaughn writes, how funny would it be if the Padres' best trade package comes from the Dodgers?
That is interesting.
If I look at so I'm going to take Colorado Rockies with Nolan Arenado. They actually made a trade with the Cardinals and got less for Arenado and paid $50 million on his contract just so they wouldn't trade him to the Dodgers.
Look how that worked out.
Yeah, they got really nothing back. Let's see. Hepatitis says, see you later. See you later says, we'll give the Padres River Ryan back for Soto. That's right. Because we got River Ryan for Matt Beatty. Oh my, who did absolutely nothing for the Padres, man. Matt's a good dude, but oh man, he's going to be playing for a new franchise or two every year, it looks like, until he can find his bat again.
That's tough.
Yeah. Yeah, River Ryan, he might be a real good one. He's another former shortstop. He was a shortstop for the Padres in 2021. Dodgers got him and made him a pitcher.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so he's like Campos, very similar.
That's very interesting, actually.
I
am curious, since we're talking about pitchers, did you hear the news on Eric Fetty, I believe it's how it's pronounced?
I did.
Okay, how do you feel about that?
Someone actually said they thought the Angels would be the perfect team for him.
I thought the same thing. It's like it seems like an Angel signing is kind of like low hanging fruit, but they've had
Yeah,
like big numbers, but it's not MLB big numbers. But I personally think that like that might not be a bad fit for the Dodgers. At least if you're trying to fill up depth.
I actually think
And
it's actually the Padres. That's who I first thought because they love to get those
mm,
guys from over that came back from overseas.
yeah,
That's what they
they
did
do
with
love that. Yeah.
the Nick Martinez. They did it with oh no, Suarez really didn't quite do that. Let's see. Aaron Vaughn says I got to see this River Ryan guy. Yeah, he does. He hit 100 now. Tomotle, hey, welcome aboard. I think he's 2025 at the earliest, though, since he's building up his pitch endurance. I think that's true. And he might just be a reliever.
I think he's just going to be a reliever. Yeah.
He's 25 now. Because he was a 5-year college guy with all the
Yeah.
COVID and all that type of stuff. This is a really good point, and I agree with this. If these Dodger pitching prospects live up to the hype, that's a lot of cheap, controllable pitching. Opens up a lot of things. Yeah, and that's why first of all you keep Miller, Pepio, and Sheehan right off the top, and then you
Uh-huh.
still got about 8 or 9 guys to trade from. You can still trade half of them and still have your depth that you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. And then in 2 years, you have Peyton Martin will be ready to go 2, 3 years from
Mm-hmm.
now. So like the system is going to keep feeding itself.
Did you, speaking of Peyton, because Trinidad and I were going back and forth on this. Did Peyton did he go with Scott Boras?
Yeah, he did.
Okay, that's what I thought. I thought I
Yeah,
saw that. Him and
yeah, he signed with
DePaula
Scott
did.
Boras. Oh, DePaula did too?
Yeah.
Oh, I did not know that. That is very interesting. That's super interesting to know.
And the thing about Boras, you don't go to Boras. Boras comes to you. That's how it works.
That's crazy. I'm not
Yeah.
surprised to hear that. I'm not
Yeah.
surprised to hear that at all.
So and he also has Pepio. So if Boras has you, yeah, it means you're probably only going to be on the major league roster for 6 years, but it means he
Hmm.
values you. And
Yeah,
so if I would always be looking at a Boris guy, at least initially, just means we may not keep him forever. Yeah, the
yeah.
Dodgers are absolutely loaded with right-handed pitchers. They also got Edgardo Enriquez coming back. Geez. We
Do you
saw
want
so
to
many
sign?
pitchers. You kind of were rattling them off earlier. It's like, oh yeah, Karros. Oh yeah, Campos. Oh yeah, Peyton. Oh yeah, Romero. I mean, these are all really high upside pitchers.
Hmm.
Um, and Martin wasn't hurt. He was shut down.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah. I figured he was shut down because he came right out of high school. He's already had some mileage on his arms this year.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's a guy that's going to be in the top 10 Dodger prospects really soon. Should be actually be in it now, in my opinion. Just
I
because of his
agree.
age and the upside in there.
I agree. I think he's their best pitching prospect that they have. Out of guys who have not pitched in the major league level, I think he's the best one.
He's right there. Hepatitis C later says Brady Smith. So we didn't see Brady at Rancho. I believe I think Dodgers Daily did a little blurb on him. So everyone check that out. Look up, Dodgers Daily. Just Google for Dodgers Daily Brady Smith. Well, I think he was 3rd or 4th round. I can't remember. We saw a couple guys. There was a guy that threw like sidearm. Then there was another real tall guy, Patrick something.
Copen, there's Patrick Copen. Are you
Copen.
talking about well, Gary
Ruga,
McDaniels didn't throw sidearm.
Ruan or
No,
Ruin or
oh Noah, no Ruin.
yeah,
No
him.
Ruin, yeah.
Just some really interesting some interesting candidates. I mean,
Hmm. Hmm.
Dodgers draft low, so they're trying to figure, trying to get a diamond in the rough. Do you guys feel Dustin May is turning into Darren Dreifert? Absolutely. The oh wow, I think I finally hit my monetization. I could actually apply to be monetized now, it looks like. Yay.
Oh, congratulations.
Yay. It'll take
Oh,
a while, but yeah, Dustin May, just his mechanics are so disastrous. Um if he's a reliever at best, they should even just stop trying to even think about him being a starter. I mean, Darren Dreifert had all that potential. He had so much. And you know what? Darren Dreifert was a coin flip away from being Alex Rodriguez. In the 1994, 93 or 94 draft, it was a coin flip, literally a coin flip. And the Dodgers lost.
That's crazy. A legit coin flip?
Yeah, it was a coin flip then. And then a few years later, they lost on Ichiro because it was a blind bidding, and the Dodgers bid 12 million and the Mariners bid 13 million to his team. And yeah, so two Mariners legends could have been Dodgers. Yeah, just by, and then around the same time as that coin flip happened is when they traded Pedro Martinez. Yeah.
That's a lot. That's a lot of blows. That would cripple any other franchise.
Well, they weren't very good back then. They went from 88. They didn't win their next playoff game till 2004 with the great Jose Lima on the mound. I'll remember, Dreifert's brawl with Galarraga. I can't even remember that. Jeez, my brain's
checking out. You're trying to check out.
I just don't remember everything anymore.
I'm getting there too.
Yeah, the Dodgers in the 90s were a weird group. They had like 5 rookies of the years in a row. They had, I mean, the guys they had come through their system: Mike Piazza, Pedro Martinez, Paul Canerco, Adrian Beltre.
Those are some names.
All those guys.
Great names.
And even they had Gary Sheffield a couple years because when they did trade Piazza, they did get Sheff back. They had a lot of players. They made the big contract for Kevin Brown when they really should have gone for Big Unit. Even though Kevin Brown wasn't that bad with the Dodgers, but Big Unit went and he won the Cy Young like every year of that first contract. It was something absurd like that. Yeah, they made some decisions that just and that's when the O'Malleys sold them off to the Fox group, and then it became corporate garbage. And you don't they tried to go cheap on Piazza, and you just don't do that. Dude should have been a Dodger for life.
Yeah,
I mean, he's freaking Tommy Lasorda's godson, and they still blew it.
Reminds me of the Angels, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, there was definitely a lot of incompetence that happened there. Yep, Caros, Piazza, Mondesi, Hollinsworth. And Nomo was in there too for Rookies of the Year. Nomo was in between Mondesi and Hollinsworth. Yep, didn't win a playoff game in the 90s. And they started the decade, they had an outfield for one season. It had Eric Davis in left, Brett Butler in center, and Darryl Strawberry in right. But it was just the wrong time. Yeah, Pedro Eustacio. They had so much talent, but they just didn't put it together. Lasorda wasn't the same manager. He was getting older. They just kind of lost some of the magic that could have been there. I mean, yeah, they were just an ordinary team for quite a long time. They're always a contender, most of the times a contender. But yeah, Chan-Ho Park was another guy. Yeah. They had. Yeah, in fact, Chan-Ho Park.
Really good players, which is
they did. They had a lot of guys.
Up, like as a kid, like you always knew all these great guys, and the Dodgers had it just seems that they had all the biggest stars,
and they just couldn't put it together. I mean, you get 5 Rookies of the Year in a row, and you can't win. Are you kidding me?
That reminds me of like the Angels through the 2010s, where they had like 5 MVP winners and 1 playoff appearance.
Yeah,
that's crazy. It's crazy.
Park with the meanest roundhouse kick in baseball. That's right. Chan-Ho took a big roundhouse at Tim Belcher.
I love that video. I love that so much.
Chan-Ho Park also is the one that gave up 2 grand slams in 1 inning to Fernando Tatis Sr.
Yeah.
First of all, why you leave him in there that long?
That's a good question. That is a very good question.
Yeah. Aaron Vaughn, right. I was coming of age in the 90s. All I knew was Dodgers losing. Yeah, I became a Dodger fan in 73, so when things really got started. But I had to endure, 3 World Series losses before we got our win in 1981. Yeah, Darryl Strawberry doing coke. Yep, the Dodgers cut him because of his drug use. Daryl's doing really well now. I got a good friend of mine is actually very good friends with Darryl Strawberry, and Daryl's a preacher man, and
That's good to see. That's good
he's
to know that
doing
he's been doing a lot better.
yeah, he's doing real well. It's good to see for sure. Why did these old time pitchers like Satchel Paige, Warren, Spawn, Juan Marichal could pitch unlimited innings year round? They weren't throwing as hard, straight up.
Yeah.
They were not throwing as hard, and they were also the pitching now is like every pitch is 110%. Back
Yeah,
then,
exactly.
guys would cruise at 80 to 90% and then bring it when they need it. And even Verlander used to do that. You know,
I was gonna say the same thing.
yeah, Verlander would start a game and he'd be cruising 92, 93, and then all of a sudden in the seventh inning, pop 97. He would
Saving his
just have
bullets.
that. Yeah, so he was an
Yeah,
old school guy.
yeah. Nowadays, like you have so many. There's just like such a big focus on like getting those spin rates up, which requires you to really focus on torque on your arms, how you
Yes.
pronate, and it's just like there's so many different moving parts with your body, like all the different joints and whatnot. That now back then they weren't doing that, but they were also staying healthy because they weren't going and manipulating every little part of their
Right.
arm and their
Yeah, every
body.
little movement that you're doing on that ball, every
Hmm.
little pressure point is adding something to your arm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
It's just because
exactly,
it
and it adds
ripples
up.
down. It ripples
Hmm.
down. Now, of course, the worst is the splitter. It really gets all the way down into that area.
That's
Wait,
interesting to know.
what?
I didn't realize that. What
Oh,
happened? Oh,
someone was doing a joke.
okay. Because I was gonna say, did something break? Some news pop?
Yeah, well, it says because plus my oh, real quick, Eric Fetty's decisions coming down to White Sox or Mets. Interesting.
Oh,
Yeah,
boring.
okay. Um, Mike Tyson writes, breaking news,
Oh,
Shohei
all right.
Pastrami appears to be headed to the San Francisco Giants for John Heyman. Okay, that works because we had who signed with the Giants last year, according to John Heyman?
Arson Judge.
Arson Judge. I get you, Mike, Iron Mike. I see you working.
That's a good one. It's a little nerve wracking, but I appreciate it.
Yeah, like, oh, yeah, you wouldn't like it because you're losing them. I don't like it because of who that would be. Now you
Yeah.
guys are signing Jose Marte back as a minor league guy. Is that good? Do you care?
Um. So I've seen people who are like, you know what? I'm actually not disappointed by that decision. And like Jose Marte, he's a hard thrower.
Okay.
I saw him pitch a rehab start when he was pitching against the Quakes.
Oh,
And I'll take as many arms as I can get at this point. He's a stash, and if injury happens, you could go call on him, hope for the best. They're not bad. It's not a bad move.
yeah. Aaron Vaughn fell for it too. Yeah, you see this is like Shohei
I've been seeing that
Pastrami.
so much
Well,
over the last week.
I saw Pastrami, and I saw in my head I saw Nastrini, like the former Dodger prospect
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah,
who
yeah,
they
yeah, yeah.
traded.
Where do they
Um,
trade him off to again?
the White Sox. That was in the Lance Lynn. Oh, he just hit it, gave up another homer.
Oh, there it goes.
The running joke, but at least they got Joe Kelly back. But I hated giving up Nastrini, man.
That is a tough one.
It's a
It's always tough
stud,
giving up players for stuff like that.
stud. Yes, but I mean, you know what though? Lance Lynn gets a lot of crap, but he actually saved the Dodgers because he was actually healthy. And yes, he would give up a
Yeah,
bunch of solo shots, but he would go 7, 8, 7, 6,
yeah.
7 innings.
He was eating innings, which is important. It's so important to have an innings eater now. And it's like nowadays everyone tries to have like
Yeah.
and try to replicate a number one starter all throughout the rotation. Like, well, your number 4 and 5 guys, like they don't always have to be the best. They just need to
Right.
be guys to pitch 170 plus innings. That's so important. But nowadays, like people will try and prioritize like really getting quality out of the 5 spot, which is nice
Right.
in theory. But if you're having a guy who only pitches 130 innings, pitching your 5 spot, that's going to create a problem when you're starting to go
Yeah.
through the whole season.
It's the ripple effect. You know, with all that extra pitching in August, it will impact you in October.
It does. It does. That's also why I think that Lucas Giolito would be a good signing for the Dodgers? Because
Just
he pitches.
yeah, he does. He pitches. Yeah, but he's a 4 or 5. And
Yeah.
if maybe he's 'cause one of the things when he went to the Angels and to the Indians, I mean, he got out of his routine. My understanding, he's very routine oriented. So
Uh-huh.
if he starts with a team and gets into the system, first of all, I think Giolito wouldn't sign with the Dodgers unless he liked their system, from what I'm understanding about him. So if he doesn't like it, then he don't sign up. Because the Dodgers are very controlling, which is I think a negative with Shohei. Let's see.
Yeah,
Aaron Vaughn says, I
unfortunately.
could eat up innings too. I may give up 4 homers in an inning, but I'll eat them up. Yeah, I could do that. I won't give up any home runs because I don't throw. They have to generate. It's like hitting off a tee off of me.
Yes, exactly.
It's like
They
there's
really have to
nothing
try hard.
there.
Swing out of their shoes, hopefully get out of the infield.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Lance Lynn was good for the jokes, but the guy battled. He really wanted to do well. Um,
He did. He did. You can never knock a guy for trying.
yeah.
It's unfortunate that he has like the worst home run rate in baseball.
Oh my gosh, it's awful. Let's see. Hepatitis C later. That's how you know this winter meeting sucks, when Eric Fetty's decision is the main news so far. Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah,
I am
I was making
expecting
that joke with my brother.
I am expecting something tomorrow. I'm expecting a Possum bomb tomorrow in the morning.
I think something will happen tomorrow. I think something will happen. I think maybe there'll be some anxious GMs there.
Yeah.
Somebody who just wants to like get the show going. We'll see, but I'm hoping day two is a little more exciting.
And
I actually think that we might see some deals happening post midnight.
maybe. And just FYI, tomorrow I work from home. So if any Dodger news breaks, I'm going to go live as soon as I can. If there's, I got to work around any meetings. Other than that, I'm going to be online. Wednesday, there probably will not be a show. I'm going to go see the most inappropriate Jimmy Carr, who Google him.
He's a great comedian.
He's
good. He's
hilarious.
good.
He's a
He's
Brit.
good.
He's
I
from
like him a
across the
lot.
pond. I just got to make sure not to sit in like the first 10 rows because I don't want to get on videotape.
Yeah, I don't want to get pissed off.
Man.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I don't need that. But I might go to the early show, so maybe I'll do a late show. It depends. But I will be at work that day, so I can't do breaking news from work. Thursday I'll be working from home. But by Thursday, most of the guys they're already packing up and leaving Thursday morning.
Yeah. There's some
Oh,
deals on the way out, maybe.
oh wait, do we have wait. Is Rule 5 draft tomorrow?
I
Or
think the MLB lottery is tomorrow.
you're right. Yeah, Rule 5 is on Wednesday. So I will be talking a little bit about Rule 5 draft. I do think that the Dodgers are going to lose Alec Gamboa, is my regretfully the guy I think they're going to lose. But we'll have to look at it because if you all go back, Steve Douglas and I did a thing on the Rule 5, and we covered that pretty well, I thought. And plus, with Steve, you're going to get some serious red pilling, and eat steak and eggs only, and some good fitness advice as you go. But yeah, so we'll cover something with that. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what we do. But yeah, we did have the big podcast on that. So look it up. I'll probably maybe cut a little bit of it and just put that out instead of redoing that. I don't think I need to do a whole show on the same things we talked about because nothing's changed other than the guys that are protected.
There are some interesting guys that are unprotected though, like across the MLB.
I know.
I feel like this is probably like the more interesting Rule 5 draft in the last few years because there are some like the Marlins have a guy unprotected, Troy Johnson, who I think he's like 26, 27, but he looks good, and I think that there will probably be some teams that try to take a flyer on some of these like older guys who have really good minor league stats.
Yeah.
I don't you won't see teams like the Dodgers making any leaps for any of these guys, but it'll just be interesting to see where they go.
Yeah, they would only do it if they really had a weird thought on someone. Because yeah, they usually don't do the Rule 5 thing much. Um, but you
Unless
never know.
like
They may,
every free agent signs before. If
yeah, they
every free
may,
agent signs before, then maybe.
yeah, that would be, yeah, it's by Wednesday. But yeah, I think we'll get something. I wish I could find, maybe I'll text to Elon and say, hey, look, Elon, I need a notification for passing that sets my alarm off. That's what I
Actually,
need,
yes, that's smart.
but
That's what
only
we
for
need during winter
passing,
meetings.
not for
Uh-huh.
Nightingale or Heyman or anything like those guys are fine. But Passon's the guy that isn't lying or
Yeah,
not.
he's definitely the top dog.
He's doing it when it's done or when he's positive it's done. So I'd like, I mean, I'm paying for premium. Why can't I get that?
I'll take a Bob Nightingale alarm just for the laugh.
Bob, Bob's hilarious, man.
He's
The
great.
one
I
team
love him.
I do
He's
too.
great.
I met him a couple times in at the winter meetings, and he's just, you know what? Both him and Heyman, they love what they do. They're so into it, and they're not. They don't. Some of the press that you see, kind of especially the old dogs, they're done, man. They're just there. They're just there because that's what they're doing. They seem to have lost the love. Bob Nightingale loves what he does, man.
He does. I love that. I love it about him. You could tell. It's just a
You
pure
know,
energy.
same with like David Vassay with the Dodgers. I mean, he gets a lot of crap, but Vassay, man, he loves what he does. He's always got a smile on his face at the stadium. He's just digging it. So I give props to him. Let's see, DVO. No, it's DEVO. Are we not men? Dodgers need to bring up all the young pitchers and let them sink or swim in the majors. If these guys are going to get blow out their arms, regardless of how protective they are, there's a lot to that. These guys are always getting hurt. Might as well see them while they're young and healthy. Yeah, these guys are just blowing up left and right. And it's because they're going 100 mile, 100% all the time, and they're trying to get every little. They're pitching to the radar gun. We know that.
It's like you're trying to squeeze every drop out of these players, but you're squeezing it a little too hard and you're breaking them along the way.
It says Vassay was smiling even when he broke his arm. Yeah. I talked to him about that briefly, and it was pretty quick after, couple weeks after. I go, are you okay? I mean, that looked really, because he also hurt his ribs. And my dad broke his ribs, back in the day. And my dad, he was laid up hard, man. Here's Vassay with his arm in a sling, broken ribs. He's still out standing in the bed, in the doing his job in the clubhouse and then on the field during batting practice and stuff. Devo, Uncontrollable Urge. Yep, saw them 3-4 weeks ago. What's up, Sal? Good to see you, man. Are we not men? We are Devo. They were so fun. 70-plus-year-old guys out there just having a good old time, being nerds.
Yeah, I love their energy. They have such a great energy behind the music.
Yeah, I was so glad that I went. I really was. I've never been like the monster Devo fan. But then you listen to him, you start appreciating it. And then, watching him, like, especially stuff off the first album, because you think Devo, you think new wave and keyboards. There wasn't any keyboards.
They were pretty punk.
Yeah, it was two guitars, a bass, and drums, and then vocals.
Yeah, exactly. They didn't get poppy till later.
Yeah.
That is such an interesting band to get to see live, though. That is so cool.
They were fun. Yeah, so it's like allegedly their last tour is like, I better just go. Let's see. We just got to start winning some chips before more of our guys need Tommy John. Yeah, no kidding. The clock is ticking. But that's the thing all across baseball is that. And I think the Dodgers, that's one of the reasons they have 50 million right-handers in the top 30 is because they go, we got to gather enough arms because they're going to pop. They're all in on themselves. I mean, come on, let's be honest. You hear it. They're talking about hitting the gun. It's close to 100 and trying to get there. You hear that. Like, it's really nice to get that gun, but man, be healthy. Oh,
Yeah,
all right, Aaron,
it's
take care, man. Let's see.
it's tough
Yeah,
nowadays with the landscape of baseball.
yeah, it's like, not a fan of it in some ways. I don't like seeing guys get hurt, especially when they're young and they haven't gotten paid.
Yeah, I'm really missing the days of like when stars would just throw 300 innings. You
I
just
know.
you don't max effort at all, but you just make sure that you're alive for an entire season. And this is a whole aside, but I really think that we're gonna get to the point where owners start to want something done about all these injuries. Um, I personally feel like there's gonna be a point in time where it's a serious conversation as to whether owners start to want more medical options in terms of keeping players healthy over the course of their career. And I just wonder if oh gosh, what was that steroids that Andy Pettit took? What are the steroids that
Oh,
players take when
HGH, the human growth hormone.
HGH? Yes,
Yeah.
and I just wonder if owners are going to be like, well, we want our players to be healthy, and this keeps players healthy, and if that becomes an actual conversation.
Yeah. So yeah, Pettit, he took that to help his injuries,
And
allegedly.
recover.
And you know
Yeah,
what?
that's
And
what he
I'm
said.
actually I actually buy it from Pettit.
I do too. I do
I don't
too.
buy it from Clemens and a lot of these other guys. I buy it from Pettit. But yeah, I think the other alternative is these pitchers, they're just going to go, we're just not going to pay starting pitchers much then. If they're going to keep
Uh-huh.
breaking down, why am I going to give a guy a 5-year contract when a year and a half of that contract's not going to be used by by uh by their out of the they're going to have a year and a half of Tommy John. Let's see. Well, what did Nolan Ryan do right? Because it wasn't just luck he lasted for so long throwing heat. Nolan Ryan was a freak.
He was. He's a country boy. That's
His
also
his
part of it.
legs were so strong, but also people should probably go, hey, Nolan, what did you did? Because one of the things I do know that he did, especially when he was older, after every start, 25 minutes on the exercise bike.
Oh, really? As like
Yes.
so he would cool down with that kind of an
Yeah,
exercise?
but it's also keeping those legs going. There's some of those
Okay.
old school things that they might want to consider looking up. You know, yeah, Ryan was a freak. I mean, he would throw 200 pitches a game with his control. It was awful. They should just let players take medicine to help them heal. Yeah, I've never been upset by steroids in baseball though. Yeah, I don't care anymore because the guy that enabled it's in the Hall of Fame and Bud Selig. So
Yeah, exactly. I would not be upset if they some regulated steroids. If it
yeah,
comes to keeping these players healthy, especially with how hitters are developing now, where like as a pitcher, you can't just go back to be like, okay, well, we're not going to throw 100. We're going to bring it back to 95 and focus on location. That's not going to work with these hitters. These dudes are hunters. They absolutely mash balls. So you have to be throwing hard to be able to just even keep up with them. So there's
yeah,
going to be a point where it's like you're going to have to do something medically to make sure that pitchers are not tearing their arms every 2 seasons. You're going to see guys
right.
who are getting Tommy John on the regular. They're going to be in and out of the shop, and like you just cannot do that.
Yeah, and it's still I mean, the healing, probably the best one's been maybe 12 months, but that's like for a reliever. Let's see. Sal says, and this is not. There is no argument against this. It's why I don't like paying Ohtani $506 million just to be a DH in a few years. I mean, there's something to that, but
I agree.
again, there's marketing involved with that too. But
Yeah, I mean, I've been saying like even if he resign, like it's such a tough contract because the back half of that, like you can't guarantee anything. You don't know if he's going to be
yeah,
starting. You don't know if he's going to be the same hitter. Like, and you're telling me you're going to be paying $45-50 million for a DH who maybe closes or throws on the bullpen twice a week. Like,
yeah,
it's a tough sell. So that's why, like, a little aside, but that's why I feel like the Angels are the only team kind of emotional enough to do something like that. We're like, oh, 12 years. We don't care about the 10th, 11th, 12th year. We'll give you whatever you want and just let it happen.
yeah. And if the Padres had money, they'd do the same thing probably. That's what they did
Yeah,
with
yeah.
Bogarts. And with Machado too, 30 years from now, pitcher's probably going to have robot arms. Yeah,
Like it's so weird to think about like 40-year-old Bogarts on the team.
I know. But if you look at it, because yeah, the pitchers do throw a little bit harder than they used to, and it's consistently harder. But also, yeah, the batters, the techniques that they're learning, the training that they're giving their eyes and stuff like that. They're doing all sorts of stuff. Then there's, of course, a few of the players that get Adderall for their ADHD.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hyper focus.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's what it's for.
Uh-huh.
It's definitely I mean, if I was a player, you got to consider it.
Yeah, you should consider every option if it's going to
Yeah,
help you
they're
get
going to
ahead
give
going
you
to competition.
if they're going to give you an exemption to be able to see the ball and focus better. But I actually
Yeah,
kind of
why
do have a
not?
little. Because I do have some ADHD. I self-diagnose with that, but
Mm-hmm.
I can't keep you can't keep my attention for a couple minutes. Um,
Yeah, same with me.
let's
Then I
see.
start thinking about baseball.
I know. Let's see. Maybe all the blowouts because these kids are learning perfect techniques of torque before they're fully grown. Oh, that dude.
It's true.
There,
Oh, that's definitely true too.
he's really touching on the real issue, which is these kids are
Uh-huh.
throwing the baseball, throwing overhand, pitching at 6 years old.
Mm-hmm.
They're they're
Pronating.
yeah, and now Little League has done a decent job with pitch counts, but travel ball doesn't do pitch counts. It still does innings. So there was a guy that we had on our team. Let's see, hold on. Okay. We had on our team, and we were in a freaking playoff game, and we were counting on him to follow my son because my son was coming in. He threw his pitch limit or close to it. And then this guy was supposed to come in. He's like, well, I threw over the weekend. Over that weekend, he threw 11 innings.
Over a weekend, he threw 11 innings as
Uh-huh.
a kid.
And then,
That's crazy.
And then he says, well, I'll go in. I go, no, I'm not letting you in. I can't. We end up losing
That's
that game.
crazy.
We lost that game. But what, so forget about losing the game. Why the heck is a kid going 11 innings? Shame on everybody.
Yeah.
Now,
That's
fortunately,
crazy.
he got drafted in the second round a few years later, but he had Tommy John right away.
Early. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let's see. Here's some stuff. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar would do martial arts, weighted jump ropes, yoga for basketball.
Mm-hmm.
See, that's the thing it is finding the right training program. And baseball is not that, hey, let's get all bulky. It's not a bulk game. It's the quick stuff, the reaction. It's bursting.
Yeah,
There's bursting. But there's also just long-term quality strength. So, I mean, I don't know enough, but, you got to look at what some of these other guys did because Kareem Abdul-Jabbar played forever.
Yeah.
Nolan Ryan played forever. Yeah. What did they do?
I heard a theory about someone was saying how, like, because back then, how we were talking about pitchers with those 300 innings, whatever. And back then you didn't have guys that were like trying to max out their bench presses and guys that were like doing heavy lifting. And nowadays, like that's so normal for guys to like just be lifting 400, 500, 600 pounds.
I know. Yeah, they're doing all these squats and everything, and
they're not baseball exercises, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, they're not. So yeah, you wonder what's going on with the training techniques. Yeah, frankly, there's a lot more people on the internet that I would trust with doing the physical stuff than I see with these things that they're doing. And I don't know if they're doing it in spite of what their trainers say, but yeah, why can't the hitters hit position players logging over to the plate? Because it's like they're not adjusted to that 50-mile-an-hour stuff. That's why they would really I'd be striking everyone out with my 30-mile-an-hour cheese.
Be the next R.A. Dickey.
Yeah, but yeah, the trying to optimize physical strength for the right sport is so important, and there's obviously something wrong. I mean, there's so many injuries all over the place, not just pitchers, but just all over the place. But they're so perfectly wound up, and everything's so perfect. There's like no room to give. They're these fine oiled machines. It's kind of like a race car. They're so perfect, but if it's off just a little bit, you blow the engine.
Yeah, exactly. It's so sensitive nowadays with all this
Yeah.
training and just all this focus on the human body. Like, it's. I just wonder if it's going to be like totally sustainable going forward. If we're just going to continue to see like this maxed effort, 200% on everything going forward, or if owners are going to be like, well, I don't like that my 300, $400 million investment is pitching 2 weeks before he gets hurt and then he's
Yeah.
out for a year. I don't think that's just not sustainable business.
Let's see. Hepatitis C later says Bobby Miller has a chance to be durable. He is jacked. Yeah, he's the type of big body guy that you go, he's got a chance to do something special. It's just how much, and I don't know how much stress is going on his shoulder or elbow. I mean, those are the things that are the most that are the danger zones.
Yeah, yeah.
'Cause he did have shoulder issues at the beginning of spring training. He told me that later, after spring
Okay.
training, when I ran
Okay.
into him in the locker room. I said, "Hey, yeah, last time I talked to you, you were not happy with your bullpen." He goes, "Yeah, I think my shoulder wasn't doing so well, and so yeah, that's why he missed some of the beginning of the season because of his shoulder." So you get concerned about that. And even with Pepio, he had the muscle, the pectoral muscle go on him,
Yeah, yeah. I
kept him
remember
out
that.
for 4 months. Man,
That's a tough injury too, a pectoral
I
muscle.
know. Well,
That's
and the thing is, he came into the season in easily the best shape of his life. That
mm,
was one of the things he had learned from 2022 is he needed to be in better shape, and he did. He got in really good shape, and then he blew that. The muscle went out
that
on him.
sucks. That
Then it
sucks
was
so
against
much.
the Angels, like in that last exhibition game or something like
Yeah, I
that.
remember that. It was against the Angels. That's
Mm-hmm.
what happening. That sucks too. I remember I felt so bad. I was watching with my dad, and it's like
Oh man.
right before the season starts, probably the biggest season in your career. You put so
Yeah,
much work into it, and it's like,
he had won a spot in the rotation.
he did, which that was tough.
Yeah, that was, and Pepio is truly a friend of the show. He's the first one of the. I interviewed him. I'm one of the guys first on his bandwagon, and he's been always friendly to me and greets me really well. Greg Maddox needs to become the pitching coach. Teach these guys other ways to be effective besides velocity. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it's more difficult to pitch like Maddox than throwing fire. Well, there's something to
Yeah.
that, but Greg grew into that.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Then Doom Sal says Trevor Bauer has a crazy workout and monitoring system that tracks all his pitches. Yeah, he tracks everything.
I've seen that, which is pretty cool. Like the
Yeah,
whole
I mean,
technology that he uses.
and forgetting his personal issue that cost him basically his major league career for quite a while. But the way he works out, the way he makes pitching his full-time job
Mm-hmm.
really is the science of pitching behind it. That's why he knew the Astros were cheating with the spin,
Yeah,
because he was always
way
talking
back
about
before
how
Jonah.
how the Garrett Cole and Verlander were probably using something. He knew it because
I remember that.
he knew all the science. And that's part of the reason he got in trouble because he was blowing the whistle on those guys. And then
Yeah,
he
and I
says,
remember
okay, well, if you're going to do it, I'm going to do it and go win a Cy Young.
that's hilarious because I remember when he was blowing up the Astros and calling them out. This was like
Yep.
really before all the
Mm-hmm.
like stuff like spin rate was popular too. So everyone was like, a pitching lab? What is this guy talking about? He's talking
Yeah.
about spin rate. People were laughing at him for it. For
Yep.
talking about spin rate, which is crazy. And nowadays
Yeah.
it's like I think Trevor Bauer would make an amazing pitching coach. I think he would make an amazing pitching
Yeah.
coach.
Yeah. He's got some repairing to do, but
Yeah. Unfortunate.
it's, that if you're a pitcher, I'm watching his channel.
Yeah.
I am. I'm watching everything he's doing, and I'm talking to him because he's at the cutting edge. Because not Driveline and all those guys have done does some cool things, but none of them themselves were successful like him. Dude was one of the top pitchers in baseball, and with all his techniques and stuff. Yeah. Bauer was unfortunate. Cost him his peak years. It sure did. Cost the Dodgers a lot, man. Probably cost, I would say, if you look at Bauer, if he would have stayed healthy, not healthy, if he wouldn't have been or whatever, not even charged, but the whole suspension, they probably beat the Giants in that, in their probably, you know, in that playoff. And so maybe Max Muncy's not playing in the last game of the season where he gets his elbow wrecked, and they have enough pitching depth where they don't have to overwork Walker Buehler and Max Scherzer and all that stuff. Because to be honest, the 2021 Dodger team was pretty freaking good, but everything fell apart at the end. He has a sabermetric set named after him. Oh, what's that one? I didn't know that. Well, not surprising. But the guy's, you know, he's way ahead of his game, and not everyone's as smart as him. He is very, I don't care about what people think about his politics or his personal life. He's a very intelligent man.
Yeah, I agree. And a lot of his teammates would say the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. He's a very intelligent guy, and knew what he was talking about, and you know, made himself into a, you know, just his deciding to go hang out with loose women. Am I allowed to say that anymore? Am I allowed to say loose?
Probably not.
Probably not. I'm probably in trouble. We used to call him something else, started with the S and ended with a LUT. But yeah.
Do you think that Trevor Bauer would be signing this year? Do you think anyone's going to sign him?
I think so. But Indians. I'm throwing it out there.
Oh, you think so?
So
I think if everything goes, if all else fails for the Angels, that probably seems like an Angels move.
Maybe, yeah, they should, or the Padres. Hepatitis C later says Scherzer, Buehler, Urias, Bauer, Kershaw should have been the 2021 playoff rotation. Yeah, and they could have had it, but you know, with Bauer going down, that created a gap that it just led to everything falling apart that didn't need to fall apart. Okay, something to do with spin. Can't remember the Bauer. I've got to find out what that sabermetric. Not that I care that much about Bauer. He's not on the Dodgers anymore. Basically, the way I just don't have time to follow guys that aren't on the team. It's like I forget about Urias, and Urias is like my favorite player for a while. Man, I forgot to do everything to keep. He's going to do everything to keep Bauer out. Yeah, that's the thing. They were, man. What Bauer did, he gave them ammunition. They hated him in the first place because he was calling out Manfred. I mean, and then even when the Astros cheating scandal broke, that, I mean, he went crazy with that. He was one of the first players to jump on that. And so, yeah, Manfred hates him. And so he gave them that thing. He's kind of like some of these politicians that you're getting watched and just don't screw up. Oh, I still did it anyway. And so then they get in trouble. Same thing. They were just watching his butt. He slipped up big time. That I still think
unfortunate situation.
Yeah, I think he was a moral failure, but I don't think looking at what we know now, not everything was what Manfred said it was.
yeah. It's just a questionable situation all around.
Exactly. Yeah. Hey, bottom line, guys, don't put yourself in that situation.
Yeah. It's tough for superstars and just famous athletes to just not feel invincible, you know?
I know. You would think it actually would happen more.
Right. That just shows the quality of like training that they get in-house to just not mess their lives up like that.
DVO asks, question is, does Urias get signed by someone? Feels 50-50 right now. Yes, somebody will sign him, and they're from a league in Mexico. Urias is going to get suspended a long time.
I was feeling the same.
It's going to be at least 2 years, in my opinion, because this is a second time that it's happened. So the second time that he's been caught. So I expect him to get something, and it should be a lot more than Bauer, because Bauer was never charged. Urias has been charged with a felony. domestic, violence. I mean, with bodily injury versus Bauer never got charged. It looked gross, everything that happened. And it's just, if you want to suspend a guy for moral failure, okay. But Urias, man, beat up his wife. So,
That's tough to come back from.
yeah, I would definitely stay away. Why does Kobe Bryant get a pass? Oh, there you go. I'm glad you're asking that. He did the ultimate sin of cheating on his wife and children. Yeah, I've been consistent with that, man.
Kobe?
When Kobe got charged, I got rid of all my kids' the Kobe stuff and that was for my kids. I got it all out of the house. And the reason he gets a pass is because people liked him. That's it. They didn't like Bauer. Urias, first time he got a pass, second time he didn't. And plus there's videotape, which we haven't seen yet. And but yeah, Kobe bought his way out of that one. I don't know if he was guilty or not, but he sure bought his way out of that one. And LA is like, oh my gosh,
it does
cheating
help.
cheating isn't the same as abuse. That's the difference. But Kobe was being sued for rape. It wasn't for just being moral, being immoral. It was rape that he was being charged with. But yeah, he got a pass and everyone gave him the benefit of the doubt because he was Kobe Bryant and he was really good. They loved him. And he was smart enough not to get chance to do it again. No, with Kobe, it was a rape charge. It wasn't a charge. It was a rape suit. Yeah, but at the end of the day, it was still sex outside of his marriage. Yes, it was adultery. Yeah. Yeah. No, it's all gross. None of them should get a pass. You know what though? I am for rehab and forgiveness. I don't think people should be banned for life necessarily. Yeah, no, sometimes maybe.
Unless it's like completely egregious, like something that like absolutely you can't come back from, then yeah, but yeah, most people deserve a second chance for sure.
Yeah, well, but like if the rule said, like with Pete Rose, if you bet on baseball, you are banned for life. And he went and bet on baseball, so banned for life. If the rule said, if you cheat on your wife, you are banned from baseball for life, then don't cheat. It's kind of those things.
Yeah, along the same line.
Yeah, it's all, but the rules need to be there and they need to be consistent. And I think in baseball, they haven't been. I mean, where Marcell Ozuna is celebrated in Atlanta and he got caught big time.
Yeah, he got caught real bad. He definitely did.
Yeah. Yeah, when someone dies, things get swept under the rug, especially sports figures. Hey, right after he settled, that thing got swept under the rug.
Yeah, people have a short memory. It's easy to take advantage of that.
Yeah. Yeah, so it was just and because people wanted to win and it is what it is. And I'll admit it, I wanted Kobe to win because I was a Laker fan. But it still didn't. It's always tainted my view of him. But at least he was smart enough not to repeat the mistake. Julio, something wrong with that boy.
Yeah, did it again. He did it in public the second time too, I think.
Yeah, it was public. So yeah, it's a bummer all the way around. And I wish. But you know what? We got evil in us, man. We're all capable of stupidity and bad things, and we just gotta keep on our toes, and and for me it's stay right with God, stay on the royal path.
Yeah, that's all you can do, really.
But even some of the quote greatest fall from things. I mean, oh man. Yeah, but scoundrel's a scoundrel though sometimes, right?
Yeah, it happens a lot in society, unfortunately.
The thing is, man, I had such good interactions with Julio.
Oh, me too.
I really, just one-on-one or small groups. I really liked him. And
Yeah, he's
I
fine.
would still reach out to him, and I hope somebody is reaching out to him on, I know it doesn't looks, you're supposed to block out people for doing the wrong thing. No, I'm not that way. We had some stuff happen at DN a couple years ago, and I tried to reach out to the person that was having an issue. I don't care. It's people, and I'm not doesn't mean I condone things or anything like that. But if I think if I fell, I would hope some of my friends would still reach out to me and say, "You doing okay? How can we help you get better?" Things like that. Okay,
Mhm.
back to baseball. Here we go. We just need one playoff hitter to change teams' playoff odds. Yep, look at 2020. Corey Seager literally carried us. This is why I want a Rosarina. Yeah, interesting thing. Corey Seager in the 2020 World Series homered in the games they lost. That's it.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh.
Only in the games they lost?
Yes. Now against the
I mean,
Braves, he homered almost every game.
mhm.
But really they should have won at least one more of those games anyway. But yeah, Seager, Betts hit home runs and Turner hit a home run, and everyone there was a lot of home runs that happened. And But yeah, it is infectious. If you have one guy that's hot, then they start pitching around him. So probably not the Blue Jays, sorry. The Rays were probably pitching around Corey a little bit because he was already coming in hot, and he did
Uh-huh.
stay hot. And then so that you start pitching around a guy, it's like, well, then I got to pitch to somebody.
Yeah, that's why you have to hope they could go deep enough with their lineup to just cover for
Yeah.
when one guy starts to pop off and they start to ignore him. You can have other guys who can fill in that hole. I feel
Yeah.
like the Dodgers right now. I mean, next playoff series could be different with Mookie and Freddie, but I feel like they
Hmm.
need a couple more guys. We need a
They need
couple more
something,
guys.
man. Because if that happens again, heads have to roll. I still think someone's head
Yeah,
should. I still think someone's head should have rolled after 2023.
yeah, definitely. They should. I mean, they said that it
Somebody.
was a front office issue, but they didn't really seem to make any corrections in the front
Mm-mm.
office for whatever happened. So we'll see if they make the corrections on the field.
Yeah.
I I just get the feeling that they might not.
They. I tell you, man, if they re-sign Noah Syndergaard again, I think we're going to have a mutiny, and people are going to ask for refunds on their
I don't know
tickets.
if it'll be that bad. I don't think it'll be that bad.
That was a bummer. I had a little bit of
Yeah,
hope for him, but he's one of those Tommy John guys that never gained it back.
I did too. I thought it was gonna be better because he was good when he was with the Angels, and
Yeah.
it was a season apart. I didn't think it was gonna be that much of a difference, but apparently it was. He lost so much velocity on his fastball.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Well, let's end this. We've been on this for over 2 hours. Man.
Marathon stream. That was a nice one.
No, we did that. Trinidad and I went almost the same last time too.
Nice.
Yeah,
No, these are fun to be on. It's always
they
fun to.
are. Well, the chat, man, they're great. They're like the extra star of the show. Dan Inspiration says if they don't get a Rosarina, they need to get Jock just for the October and get a pinch runner for Jock.
That won't be too hard to
I
do.
think Jock took all my extra weight because
Oh,
it's like, oh my gosh, he's gained so much weight. He looks like I did.
uh-huh,
His
uh-huh.
face is starting to get bigger.
Yeah, yeah. You could definitely tell that he's starting to get a little bit older, which is interesting. I don't know if
I
Dodger
went
fans
through
want to
it.
just
I know it.
settle for it. I don't know if you want to just settle for Josh Peterson right now. I think that you should probably just prioritize going younger and going bigger. Like this whole
Well,
like
you
signing
said
of Mookie
bigger. That's
Betts.
Jock.
Well, I guess it does fill some of the categories, I guess.
I
But
would have been really. I wanted them to sign Jock instead of Jason Hayward.
I mean, it worked out for the Dodgers.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Jock just because he is Jocktober. Um,
Uh-huh.
and but yeah, I don't think they have room for him now because God, he's made himself into a bad outfielder.
Yeah, he's like a DH type now. You don't really want to play in the outfield too much.
I'll have to call if they sign Jock. I'm gonna call Steve Douglas to do a rant. I don't know if you ever saw Steve's rant about Max Muncy.
No,
If you
no,
go to
that
the
sounds
end,
hilarious.
if you go to the end of our center field coverage of the center fielders, he says This is a personal reach out to Max Muncy. Let me train you. I'll do it for free. Let me help you out. And it's longer than that. He really goes off. It was great.
That's amazing.
See, remember when Jock was fast and a high-level defensive outfielder? He was. It's fun to watch. Let's see. Hey, Sean, great. Thanks, Sean. He says, great job. Enjoyed listening to you guys talk baseball. He's 31. They say 220. No, he's closer to 240 at least. Yeah, he's got the bad dad bod, man. He's but when you're a professional athlete, you can't get a dad bod. Jason, put it this way. Jason Hayward has children. Jason Hayward is perfect. In terms of physical, he's perfect.
Yeah. See, it's funny because last season after Hunter Renfroe had his kid is when he just went downhill. He just spiked downhill so fast. And I was over here like
at that time you're losing sleep. They say Max Muncy is 6 feet 215. Max Muncy is not 215, I guarantee that. But Jock is still probably bigger than Max. But they're competing.
Bigger than Max?
Max is big, man.
Well, I don't know about that. That sounds crazy. Jock Peterson bigger than Max Muncy. I don't know if we're there yet.
Thing is, Max still has some speed, but it's impacting his defense so much. But well, we will. Let's see. So it is 9:19. I'm going to check one last check to see if anything happened. Definitely the most boring day when. What's his name? The guy the break. Yeah, Eric Fetty's the main guy. He signed with the White Sox. Okay. 2 years, $10.5 million that can reach $13 million with incentives. Oh, good for him. Was he with the Nationals before? Yeah. Wasn't it Nationals before?
Yeah, career with him for like 7 years, I think.
Something like that.
And I'm pretty sure he won the World Series with them.
Probably, yeah. So Doom Sal says, have a good evening all. Not expecting any news until next week. I hope you're wrong, but you might be closer to right now. This is upsetting. I hate a boring. It's such a wasted opportunity for baseball to get in the spotlight. You see that pic of Hayward as a child. He was jacked even back then. Yeah, I believe it. Hayward, man, he's in great shape. He's in great shape.
Yeah, so, all right, that's folks. Why he's able to keep it up.
Yeah. That's about all, folks. Again, the chat, thank you very much. It's such a it makes the show so, keeps us on our toes and keeps us with topics that we can keep expanding on. Ryan, thank you, my brother. Ryan was there my first time working with the Media Pass at the 66ers for a Julio Urias rehab. Yeah. And so that's where we met, and we've been friends ever since. He's a rock star, literally. And so thanks for coming on, Ryan. And we'll, when the whole Ohtani stuff, figures out, we can definitely chat again just to see it. Talk about that. And we're probably both going to be unhappy the way things might be going. But that's fine. It's something to talk about and everything. But you got any shows coming up?
I just played a show this past weekend, and I played a show 2 weeks ago. I think that might be it for the year. I think we're going to pack it in for the Christmas season and then hit it again once January starts.
All right. So if you like the deep and heavy stuff, you want to go watch Solar Haze. That's his band. He's the drummer. Your brother's like the guitarist and key songwriter, right?
And the singer.
And the singer, yeah.
Yeah, we're on Spotify too. You could check out Solar Haze on Spotify. We have Instagram.
Yeah, check it out. If you like put it this way, if you like any of the old Black Sabbath, you will definitely like Solar Haze. That's for sure. Well, thank you. Definitely got the good doom, the doom sound and all that stuff. So
thank you. Yeah, we have a new album coming out soon. Just cool. My brother's he's getting used to having a kid, just a new dad, so he's getting fresh with that. And then once he gets his legs under him, we're gonna come out with the album.
Right on. All right. Hopefully you get a chance to open for some big names somehow and maybe headline a couple fun things down here.
You'll be there. You'll be there.
I got to get there, man. And then, I am still Tim Rogers. Our Twitter accounts are both below there. And please hit us up. Thank you again, everyone, for getting us up there. Yeah, we're reaching some cool goals. It's really cool that we can start figuring out some things. And yeah, so that's about it. Let's see. God bless and go Dodgers. We are out. All right. So that ends the stream.